Hello, and welcome to episode 232 of Flix and a Six. We're back, baby, and we are the masters of our fate. Nothing is written, especially not my notes. I'm one of your hosts, Anthony Costanzo, with me forever and always. The man, the myth, I hear he does his own stunts, Alessandro Biolsi. Say hello, Al.
We don't talk enough about the baseline on You Oughta Know.
Where did that even come from?
So you remember I said before we started, like, oh, this is funny. I was looking at the last notes that I had from the episode.
Oh, right.
That we were supposed to do. I was like, Anthony's never going to see this coming. You wouldn't have seen it coming then either 3 months ago. So we were supposed to be doing an episode on the movie Conclave. We didn't end up doing it.
Right, I kept singing Conclave as if I was a member of the Raconteurs.
We were supposed to do Conclave and then Flix and a Whisk the following week.
Right.
Neither of those things. We had to abandon the Oscars because everyone had the flu. I mean, everyone had strep throat.
Sidelined again by my children.
Sidelined again for like 3 months.
Yeah.
And anyway, so I had left that as my thing. Totally forgot about it. Just saw it now when I was going to build a new note page for this episode. It's like, okay, well, I'm just going to bring that across because now I remember what had happened. And what had happened was that week, I was driving in my car and I was having... Did I tell you about the issues I was having where my Bluetooth was just slowly degrading its ability?
Yes.
And how I had to park my car crooked in the driveway, almost in the pathway, to get it as close as possible to... This is... Considering I'm certainly not tech illiterate, but I wouldn't exactly call myself tech savvy either.
Sure.
I think my troubleshooting skills are a testament to my own personal ingenuity because I don't know how to do fucking anything, but every once in a while I just like have a moment of inspiration and I end up being right like 80% of the time on like how to like find the way to to come up with a solution.
80% of the time it works every time.
Exactly right. So I was like, you know what? I think I need a firmware update or whatever for my car.
Reasonable assumption. Something with the radio seems off, right?
And I looked and it was like the last time it was updated was like 3 years ago.
Sure.
Like, there's no good reason for why my phone should stop. It's always worked. And it, like every once in a while I would get booted off the Bluetooth and then it would reconnect. It's like, fine, whatever. Like that's fine. It happened. But I was having this thing where every single time I got in the car, I had to forget my phone and reconnect the phone from scratch, which is a problem because I drive all day for work. So I'm in and out of the car like 10 times a day.
Yeah, you have to do it every single time.
I'm not doing this.
Yeah, no.
So there was I think it was literally the day that I ended up fixing the problem. When I got home from work, it was late. It's pitch black out. Pulled up into the driveway. Got the nose of my car as close as I could to the router, which is all the way in the far corner of the house from where I park.
you just drive on the lawn.
Well, like I said, I was almost in the pathway to the front door just to get close enough to connect. Because when I just parked regular in the driveway, it was too far away to connect to the router. Got it to connect. It took 20 minutes to download the firmware update. Mm-hmm. I ended up being immediately proven correct. As soon as that was done, I've never had a problem with the Bluetooth connection ever again after that.
Good job.
Right? So I was listening off and on that week to just like regular terrestrial local radio, the local radio station, the one that does the sessions at Newburgh Brewery, WRV. Okay. And it was...
WRAT, the rat.
So I think they do 90s at noon, like the noon hour. It's only 90s songs, like 90s rock songs they play. So I was driving in the car that
As
day.
It should be.
Driving in the car that day. Like 30 seconds after I turned the car and the radio on, You Oughta Know came on by Alanis Morissette. Have not heard that song in forever. Heard it a million times. Haven't heard it in forever. And I'm listening to the song. I'm like, no, this song still slaps. And I'm like listening to it and I'm like...
It does slap.
I was like, this bass line is kind of sick. And I don't know that I've ever actually like noted that before. I was like, this is a very like bass-centric song and I've never noted this before. I need to talk about this with Anthony. So, Anthony, your thoughts on You Oughta Know?
Well, you know what? I don't think I've had the same experience as you. I have to go back and listen to it. You have to see the number of times that I heard that song was mostly on cassette.
Probably, yeah.
a long time ago. Now I kind of want to stop the show and listen to it because I'm really curious now. Well, it's not like we're gonna get taken down from anywhere. I can just play it.
Oh no, demonetize
No.
us. Oh no.
Yeah. Oh. I feel like I do know that though. That it's that the
It
that
feels
does
spiritually right, even though you wouldn't have like
yeah, it
just
feels right.
thought of it on your own, right?
It feels, and that would have been so. That would have been great. Like if we had done the Conclave episode, you're talking about a song written by God. Like it would have been perfect.
I didn't even think about that connection point either. But which is funny because I was actually talking about Dogma not that long ago with my sister because she hadn't seen that one, and
Mhm.
I don't remember if that was the entry point or if we were talking about Alanis Morissette, and I made a reference to her being God, and she just looked at me totally nonplussed, and I was like, she played God in
Yeah,
Dogmas. Oh, okay. But the thing is, if we had recorded this episode that week, I probably would have been able to replicate what the baseline was like. I don't remember what it was.
sure,
I do
sure.
remember when I saw this note, I was like, oh yeah, I do remember hearing that and being like, oh, that bass line's kind of sick. Don't remember
Yeah.
what it sounded like now.
All right, I'm gonna listen to that as soon as this episode ends.
Yes.
The are you gonna take Gianna to see the Dogma anniversary?
I mean, I guess I should now. I forgot about
There
that.
is a
Didn't we talk about that at Easter?
Yeah, it's I now I'm kind of concerned. Did I miss it? I might have missed it. I don't think I missed it. I think it was sometime in June. And it's only the 4th, so I think we're okay.
Rapidly approaching.
Rapidly approaching or past. But yeah, was it is it 5:30 however
Should
old?
be. Is it 26 years?
26? That seems like a silly
Wasn't
time
it
to have a
1999?
Dogma release date. Let's
June 5th. It's tomorrow.
ha! Well, timing. That's crazy. Anyway.
Oh, starting
25th.
June 5th. Hang on a second. This is a post on Reddit done by Kevin Smith on an AMA
Okay.
2 days ago. Hey, Reddit, I'm Kevin Smith. I got the rights back to Dogma, and I'm putting it out in theaters for a limited time for its 25th anniversary, starting Thursday, June 5th. Ask me anything. And it's a picture
Cool.
of him with one of those AMA cards, and it's a picture of Buddy Christ next to him. So,
I love the Buddy Christ.
Me too.
We should do that because we never did Dogma, right?
No, I don't think so. I only saw it the one time, and that was before the show started. So
excellent. Then we should do that. Anyway, I'm gonna go back to the intro real quick.
I don't know why I could have swore that movie came out in 1999.
Same. I don't know. Anyway, on this week's episode, we return to the movies, and the movies return to us. AI tools and you, Nintendo. Where do you get off? And lots of consumption. All before diving into our flick of the week, Mission: Impossible Dash: The Final Reckoning.
Also, like general catch up because we basically haven't really spoken since Easter.
No, and even that, it's like when I'm mostly just like it's like when you're when you're a parent, you're talking to somebody, but you constantly have to. Are you gonna get yourself killed over there? Are you okay?
Well,
are you in danger?
It's been more of
because most of the time they are in danger.
Well,
it's insane.
It's been a lot of like you send me a raft of memes from Instagram, or I send you some funny meme that I found, or you send me some random musing about some movie that you were watching for the 400th time, or I send you something random about something that's coming out. And there hasn't really been a lot of conversation.
Or I live tweet Madam Web directly to you.
Yeah, when you randomly tweet me scene for scene, whatever, something. But yeah, no, we haven't like actually. Dogma did come out in 1999. I feel like I'm being had.
Is it like
one of those like
maybe there was like a wide release the next year or something?
I'm looking for November 12th, 1999. He's just 7 months late for doing a 25th anniversary.
Huh. Who knows? Oh, who knows?
I don't actually care. I just something was sticking in my mind. I was like, it's not the 25th anniversary.
That Dogma I have, it's a double disc.
Was it?
It's a double disc DVD box. Like it's like not like your traditional DVD box that has like two discs on one little pokey thing in the middle. It's like a book that opens on both sides. And I don't remember what's on the other side.
Okay.
Maybe one's a director's cut, and it's kind of ridiculous to have a director's cut when they let you do whatever you wanted to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, at that moment,
right?
he was I think, pretty well in the Miramax fold. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it is a little. It is a little bit
It might have been because of the Hot
studio.
Topic, pun intended.
Could be. Could be. I also have one. The Mallrats DVD has like it has. Oh, do you remember the flip disc? The DVD that you could
Mm-hmm.
put in one way or the other. One side is the theatrical version, and I always, to this day, I'll look at the disc and it's like theatrical version. I was like, yes, but up or down. I don't, I don't know what to do with you.
There was a period of time where what it said on the one side of the disc, it was unclear if that was the side that was supposed to be up or down.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I forgot. Yes, there was some things that did like theatrical versus like director's cut, or actual movie versus bonus features. But also, what I mostly think of is one side would be full screen, one side would be widescreen, because that was also a thing.
Right. I do remember that. I have a lot of those kicking around, formatted to fit my television.
Yeah, I always think of the Family Guy where they're watching the ultra wide letterbox screen of Lawrence of Arabia, and the whole thing is like a millimeter thick. It's all the way across the screen.
I love it.
And so he goes, "Oh, and who's that beautiful lady?" And Brian goes, "It's Peter O'Toole."
Perfect. Oh my god. Al, what are we drinking?
Yeah, I cut you off before.
No, it's all good.
So yeah, we're drinking Millhouse Brewing Company's Blueberry Blessings. Now this is an old beer. It wasn't old when I got it though.
Is it a beer?
It was only slightly old when I got it, because this beer. Anthony, do you know what this beer came from?
When you went to where did you go? Did you went on a trip?
No.
So where did this come from?
When we went to Beer Fest, do you remember how I won this raffle?
This is from the winnings?
The Yeti cooler? This was in there.
This is booty?
Yes, this is pirate booty.
Oh my goodness.
Millhouse Brewing Company, which is in Dutchess County. I think it's in Poughkeepsie, the city of Poughkeepsie.
Nightmare of a word.
Millhouse?
Poughkeepsie.
Oh, Poughkeepsie, yeah.
Memorialized. Spell it. I dare you.
Oh, I know how to spell it because I've lived up here for 25 years. Also memorialized in the movie The French Connection by Gene Hackman, rest in peace. But anyway.
Woof. 7/9/24. Found it.
Not quite a year old.
Not quite.
When I got it, it was only 2 months old.
So is this the second anniversary of this beer, Kevin Smith?
It's a malt beverage with blueberry flavor. As indicated, it was a blueberry ale, 5.2% alcohol by volume. Serving temperature, now that's helpful, 38 degrees to 42 degrees, which we're probably in that strike zone, more or less.
Serving temperature from your refrigerator.
From your refrigerator 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Rotational series. This rotational series will bless your palate with crisp, clean blueberry flavor, approachable, and easy to drink. This ale is the perfect choice for whatever you plan on doing today. You've been blessed.
Sorry, I just gotta. Approachable and easy to drink implies the existence of approachable and not easy to drink, and I'm just picturing
or easy to drink but not approachable.
Yeah, just like it's horrible to look at, but it's fine. You can drink it; it's fine. Cheers! I want to try this.
Hang on a second. I gotta flick this awkward glass.
Hang on. I got a ding. I never get a ding.
That was a good one.
It smells like bloobs.
It does smell richly of blueberry. It tastes richly of blueberry.
It's very subtle though. I feel like it's like low key. It's not. It tastes like blueberry, but it's actually, like not a big punch in the face.
I was pleasantly surprised because I feel like a lot of times these sorts of beers, it's like a hint of blueberry, like as if someone had wafted a blueberry over the top of it but didn't actually put it in. This tastes like
they skipped it like a stone.
Yeah. This tastes like the blueberry actually made contact with the surface for more than a minute.
This is blueberry. I've made contact. Oh man, this is tasty. No, this is really
definitely good. One that was at Beer Fest. I believe we all tried it, but I
gotta be honest with you, Al. Easily 3 times a day, I think to myself, is it time again yet? I just want to. I want a bumper sticker. I'd rather be at Beer Fest. It was great.
No, we still
I want
have
to do that again.
like 3 months.
Fine.
Or roughly the interval between episodes of podcasts.
That's right. So by the next episode, we will have gone to beer. No.
Welcome to Flix and
Then-
6, a quarterly podcast.
We provide you with 1 minute a day for an entire month.
Well, that's I've never actually listened to it, but have you ever listened to the show Star Wars Minute?
No.
I think I want to say it's weekly. So weekly, let's call it podcast, about 1 minute of a Star Wars movie. Every episode is the next minute, starting with Phantom Menace. They've been going for years, 1 minute at a time. Again, never listened to the show, so I'm sure they talk about more than just what's going on in that minute. But that's the premise, is it's 1 minute at a time of the movie. That's the only part of the movie I think that they talk about. And they have different, like, famous guests. I know the lead hockey writer at ESPN has gone on multiple times on Star Wars Minute. That's one of the only reasons I actually am aware of the show, because like every time he's been on, he's like posted like, "Hey, I went on Star Wars Minute this week."
I feel like I would like to check that out.
Right? I feel like that would be near endless content, right?
Yeah, seriously. Back to this guy. This guy is tasty. This guy is a I think it's a Tres Stuckles. It's smooth, it's easy, it's approachable.
I'm gonna say firm two. It's a firm two thucks. I very much enjoy. I think they purposefully chose this to be a very solid, basic, like almost golden ale, to really showcase the bloob. Mission accomplished. But there is sometimes like
mission not impossible.
No, very possible actually. Barely an inconvenience. But I think there's a cap to how good that can be because of how I'm going to say formulaic, and I don't mean that as an insult, but how formulaic this beer is in order to showcase the fruit. I made a beer like this.
I see what you're saying.
Years ago with raspberry syrup. It's very similar base malt beer, and it came out exactly how I wanted it to. But it can only go so high because you're doing it to like put the fruit flavor on a pedestal and not have anything else interfere with it. I picked this because it's pretty much perfect for a late May, early June. Like today was a correct temperature for this sort of beer to be enjoyed, I feel like.
Yeah, I think it's a 2 inside and a 3 outside.
It could be a 3 outside if you had a couple. Maybe you mowed the lawn. Maybe you played a lawn game, something like that.
Lawn game. A lawn. You just turned to Chris. A lawn game where we had blueberry ale. Where did that even come from?
I don't know. Well, I was trying to emphasize mow the lawn game.
I could go for a long game. Explain this to me. Malt beverage with blueberry flavor.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's like fine print.
What it means is they probably didn't just mash up a whole bunch of blueberries. They probably added like blueberry syrup, which is like I said. Well, that's what I did because it's tough to just add the raw fruit. You can do it, but there's calculations that have to go into it where you will lose too much of the sugar in the fermentation if you just put the blueberries in, and so that means you'll lose a lot of the flavor as well. Whereas if you put the syrup in after fermentation, when it's just like to be bottled, since the active fermentation is like largely done, you don't really lose much of the sugar, and so you don't lose much of the flavor that goes along with
you'll retain that like kind of actual
so it's sweetness. Less quote unquote pure, but it will get you that desired effect better.
Okay, fair enough. And then malt beverage.
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't just say malt beer, because it's a beer. They never.
Yeah. I'm wondering, is there some sort of threshold that you hit where you now can't say that you have to label it a certain way?
So the funny thing is, like, I always thought that, like, the term, like, malt beverage, isn't that what they use for, like, those, like, 40s?
Colt 45?
Yeah, like Colt 45 or Old English or, like, those things. Like, isn't that usually what they refer to as malt beverage? Which is, like...
Exactly.
It's kind of like a cousin to beer. I don't actually know why that definition is used.
Yeah, what is it?
Do we want to learn this together?
Let's find out.
Malt beverage.
This is coming at you from the same guys that brought you. Is it an orchard or is it a grove?
I feel like we learned a lot that day.
We did, but I didn't retain it, and then I have to come back to you each time.
I retained it though for you.
Yeah,
So you
that's
just
right. That's true.
come back
Second
to me
brain.
and I regurgitate the exact thing we learned together
Mhm.
online. Now let's go to Wikipedia. A malt.
If somebody were to ever ask me
this
what
is
the
malt
difference
beer.
is between an orchard or a grove, I would pull out my phone and I wouldn't look it up. I would just text you.
Yeah, fair. So mostly what I'm seeing here is malt drink, which is sorry. What we were thinking of is not malt beverage. We were slightly wrong. It's malt liquor. That's the
Oh,
malt liquor
right.
is a type of mass market beer with high alcohol content, most
Thank
closely
you.
associated with North America. Legally, it often includes any alcoholic beverage with 5% or more alcohol by volume made with malted barley. In common usage, it refers to beers with high alcohol content, generally above 6%, which are made with ingredients and styles resembling those of American-style lagers. It's a strong lager or ale in which sugar, corn, or other adjuncts are added to the malted barley to boost the total amount of fermentable sugars in the wort to make for the higher alcohol content. It's also, if not heavily hopped, it is also not heavily hopped, so it's not very bitter. Brewing and legal definitions. It's typically straw to pale amber in color. Traditional premium lager is made primarily from barley, water, and hops. Malt liquors tend to make much greater use of inexpensive adjuncts such as corn, rice, or dextrose. These adjuncts, along with the addition of special enzymes, results in a higher percentage of alcohol. Also referred to as high gravity beers, which that's what we talk about often with like triple and stuff like that. So this is basically meant to be a little bit more fungible catch-all type of term.
Okay.
For something that's higher alcohol content, that is basically beer.
I have this memory. I have to ask him about it. Of working at the pizzeria on Saturdays or 12-hour shifts with Brian, and him splitting up a bottle of Old English between multiple people. And I don't remember why we were having it or why it appeared, or maybe he was just curious about it and that's why we were trying it. I remember it being disgusting.
I know I've had it once or twice, but probably over 15 years ago. So.
Yeah, did not like. Weird memory. Anyway,
well, someone or someone's in my orbit is going to have a couple of these, unfortunately, at some point in the next month or two, because Dominic and a couple of his friends made some poorly informed bets last football season, in which the losing side had to participate in Edward Fortyhand. So.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh no!
No, not me, but I will be watching because it will be entertaining to watch.
Sure. No, that sounds absolutely disgusting. No, thank you. I don't think I could handle it. I think I would throw up before I even started. I think all right. So we're gonna settle on a double fuck.
Double fuck.
Double fuck. 2 thucks.
Okay.
For this guy, right? Yeah. Good for you, Blueberry Blessings. Good for you. What do you say? We talk a little. We'll do like news and catch up right now, and then we'll kind of go into consumption. I'm sure we'll bop back and forth between those categories. But I have one news that literally happened moments before we got on the call that I have to share with you, which is that the Sony State of Play, is that what they call it? They did a thing today. And one of the games that they showed off was 007 First Light.
Did they show it? Because
they showed it
earlier in the week, I want to say, or maybe late last week, I did see that they renamed whatever game they were making. I didn't realize they were making a game until then.
Yeah, so this is by the folks that made the Hitman games. And it just looks, it's like, it's a real fresh James Bond take, a real early James Bond.
Okay.
A young boy,
young lad,
getting his feet wet, a young lad, and it looks really like engaging and fun. I'm looking forward to it. I was like, the Bond games have, like, they were great years ago. Like, it was fun to play back in the day. But like it never really got like back to being awesome. And
they did one. Would this have been late like Xbox, PS2, GameCube stage, or early 360. I forget which one it was.
I think it was
late that generation, the first like
yes,
main disc generation.
something Agent.
Yeah, I forget what it was called.
Agent Under Fire.
Yes, that's right. I think that's it.
Yeah, it was decent, but it was still like it's nothing to I don't know. I vividly remember playing GoldenEye. Obviously,
Yeah.
I vividly remember playing The World Is Not Enough because the movie tie-ins were great, and I also played Tomorrow Never Dies late because I bought myself a PS1 like well after its time.
So I never played The World Is Not Enough game because that was a PS1 exclusive, I want to say.
Wait, am I thinking of the right one? The World Is Not Enough is with the third. It was the third Brosnan one.
No, the second one, right?
Wait, the second Brosnan one is Tomorrow Never Dies.
Sorry, that's the one. That's the one.
Yeah.
That one I never played.
That was a PlayStation exclusive.
Yes,
yeah,
I remember
that was fun.
Coming
that
out,
was a third-person Bond game.
Never played it. Sorry, you definitely had The World Is Not Enough because I remember playing that with you. We obviously played GoldenEye way more, but
sure,
we played that one too.
Yeah, that one was fun. I actually liked that one too.
Then there was another one that came out after that didn't have a movie tie-in, and I don't remember what it was called. That was a PS2. And then there was another one, I think, after that was Nightfire, because I had that on the GameCube. That one was good.
Yeah.
That was a good game.
Maybe that's the one that I was thinking.
That was a good, fun game. I played a lot of that multiplayer locally, like with friends or Dominic or whatever. Like, played that game a lot. But there was a game before that, and I don't remember what it was called, but I remember that was the one that had like the zip line thing that in multiplayer you could use it to like any surface, and you could just like be like hanging out and like sniping from like the side of a wall on like the top of the map.
Yeah. Okay, that's ringing a bell.
I don't remember what that game was called though.
I don't either.
And then there was
one of them.
There was another one after Nightfire, which is the one I think was Agent Under Fire or something like that. Which was like,
it was maybe before it.
Kind of.
I'm trying to get us a list here.
It was like kind of.
Oh, we've gone too far back.
It was like kind of cover based.
Let's see.
But so like I remember what I liked about it was there was some cool mechanics they added to it with like you could like rappel up and down stuff, kind of like a Rainbow Six type of thing. And
all right, I got the list. Ready? So after it was, GoldenEye, there was a Game Boy one in between. Tomorrow Never Dies. The World Is Not Enough. Then we had 007 Racing, which I actually did play.
Oh, I've never heard of
that. Agent Under Fire. That was PlayStation 2, GameCube, Xbox, and Game Boy Advance. Then Nightfire. Same series of consoles. Then Everything or Nothing, which I definitely didn't play.
No, so that was the game I was just talking about.
Oh, that was the one?
Yes, I had them backwards.
Was there a grappling hook in one of the first-person ones?
Yeah, that was Agent Under Fire. I forgot that. I totally forgot that's what it was called, but I definitely played that one a bunch. Because Dominic had gotten a PS2. So we definitely played that one. We had Nightfire on the GameCube. I had Everything or Nothing. Everything or Nothing had... I remember this. I don't think I ever actually finished the campaign because it got pretty hard towards the end. But I forget which one which was the Bond movie that had Christopher Walken as the bad guy.
Oh, I don't know.
Christopher Walken was the villain in one of like the late 70s or early 80s Bonds.
Okay.
And this game was supposed to be a continuation of that story. And the main villain was supposed to be like
A View to a Kill.
The mentee to that character. Was it like is the Walken character is like Max Schrenk or something like that?
Max Zorin.
Or Zorin, or it was Max something, I don't remember. But so the villain in this one was voiced and they modeled the face after as Willem Dafoe. He was like actually was the voice, and like I think it was before motion capture, but he was the villain in this game, which is supposed to be a continuation of that story. But I'm pretty sure
that's funny.
Pierce Brosnan was the one that they modeled the Bond after, because this was still before Casino Royale came out.
This is the Annihilation Bear of video games.
But there was some... I don't remember... This one might not have even had, like, a multiplayer. I don't remember playing multiplayer in this game. But it had a campaign, and it was cool. There were some really cool, like, missions in it, because they gave you some cool new mechanics. Like, there was one where there was a whole sequence where you rode a motorcycle, was like a whole big set piece where there was like a tanker truck that would like flip in front of you, and you had to like quick time event to like power slide the motorcycle underneath it. But you could it wasn't just a quick time, but you could technically do that move at any time because you could use it in, I want to say, quote unquote combat / when you're like in a chase scene, you could like kind of do it whenever.
Okay.
But it was like a whole thing. You had to hit that exactly at that moment. But the one thing I remember being like an issue with that game was there was only like 5 or 6 different guns. Like there was like very little like change in how you
a limited arsenal.
Yeah.
After that, we had GoldenEye Rogue Agent. I don't remember that hearing about that at all. Then in 2005, there was a From Russia with Love video game.
That sounds familiar. I actually remember them doing that. I never played that one.
Likeness and voice acting of Sean Connery. Then in 2008, there was a Quantum of Solace game.
Really?
Huh. PS2, 3, Wii, Xbox 360, Nintendo DS, and Windows. In 2010, there's just a game called Bloodstone?
That doesn't sound familiar at all. Yeah, the last one I played for sure was Everything or Nothing. I had totally forgotten about the From Russia with Love game, but now that you mention it, I do remember that happening. So that would have been the last one I was actually aware of.
GoldenEye remake in 2010?
That sounds... Didn't they do like another one like kind of recently?
I thought they did. And then 007 Legends in 2012.
That doesn't even sound familiar.
And then that seems like that might have been the last one, if this list is accurate, before this new one that is coming out, which looks like a blast. So I'm looking forward to it. Looks like it looks like it will have like an engaging story, and I love a good story-driven game.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm here for it.
I do feel like if you gave more than half of a shit about writing a decent-ish story for a Bond, like, I think it works well in a game, right? Like you can use the cheesiness of what Bond historically was if you want to. Like you can lean into that, and it would fit with a video game in a better way than like it feels like it would, like trying to continue to do that cheesiness in movie form, right? Because the best of the Bond movies in this century have been the more grounded stories, right?
Yeah.
Like your Casino Royale, your Skyfall, we're more grounded stories with like more approachable and easy drinking villains.
I finally watched the last one, and we didn't do that, right?
No, because I know I saw it like a while after it came out, like maybe a year after it came out.
Yeah, same.
Maybe I did see it in the theater. I forget now.
For me, it was once it was available on like HBO or something.
I know Spectre, I saw that like well after it was out of theater, but
that I think I saw in theater.
I want to say I don't remember if I saw it in theater or not, but I liked the last one. Was it No Time to Die, right?
Yes.
I liked it, but I only saw it the one time. I would like to go back and rewatch it at some point.
Yeah, it was good. It felt like well put together. What? No, you didn't like it?
No, I didn't say I didn't like it. I don't know how well put together it was.
Oh, I thought it was.
That was a movie that had the slightly uglier version of the the Rogue One treatment, where that movie got dramatically re-shot and recut. If you remember what the trailers were, there was a lot.
I don't.
There was a lot of stuff that was in the trailers that's nowhere near that movie.
I bet you then I probably benefited from seeing it so much later and not remembering anything about any marketing materials ahead of time.
I had that gap for sure. And then I watched the movie and I was liking the movie. I liked the movie. But I remember like late in the movie thinking at some point, I don't know what made it like click in my head. It was like, oh, there was that whole shit that was in the trailer. That's just been nowhere in this movie. I wonder where that was supposed to go.
I do think that there might have been some odd editing around the villain.
That's where most of it is. Malik was supposed to have a much bigger role in the movie. He's not in the movie very much.
No, well, he's disappeared kind of early on and then comes back.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff with him in the trailer that's just not in the movie.
I just remember I'd have to rewatch it, but I remember thinking like going through it like, oh, this feels more James Bond to me than it's felt in a minute.
I liked the movie. I only
Yeah.
saw it the one time. I liked the movie, but there are some seams that are noticeable. Is
Yeah.
all.
Seems are fine as long as we're having a good time. The next piece that I want to get into will lead us directly into consumption.
Okay.
And it is the return to the movie.
I also returned to the movies this week.
So
Anthony, have you noticed that there's a lot of movies that have come out or are about to come out?
I have.
Do you remember
It's
this phenomenon? This is a thing that used to happen like 5 or 6 years ago.
I do remember this, and that's what I'm talking about as being the return to the movies. It feels like for
Oh,
the
I know.
first
I'm teeing
time
you up.
in what
I'm
we're,
hyping
we're
you up.
talking 5.5 years.
Yeah.
It's the first time that this has happened. And it started so earlier this year. I went to the movies and I saw Craven. Now listen, I know
You
I
went
was
to the
making a
theaters for that?
mistake. I know I was making
I
a
forgot
mistake.
you went to the theaters.
I was getting dinner with a friend, and then we were going to go.
Oh
see
wait, you saw
Craven.
that with Damien, right?
It's all with Damien, yeah.
I
So
forgot you texted me to say you and Damien went to see Craven.
and he was
Jesus
basically
Christ.
like, "Why are we doing this?" I can't do the movie. But we watched that, and I was thinking to myself, "Yep, this is the state of movies. This is it. This is what we get." I keep hoping that it'll turn around. I knew this wasn't going to be it. Let's be clear. Like I knew going in, I was actually in it. It was like a bad movie night.
When
That's
you were
what it felt
sitting
like.
in the theater for Craven, did
Mhm.
you like have playing in your head like the scene from Sopranos where Chris goes? Did you ever wonder if like anything good could ever happen to you again? Yeah, Paulie goes, no, and nothing ever did.
Yes, basically, yeah. So we're sitting, and we had a great time watching it. And you're laughing out loud through the whole movie. That is not a comedy.
Did I tell you a few weeks ago that I saw that movie?
No, you didn't.
I watched it because
I'm
they
glad.
did it on Cinephobe, and I was like, okay,
Oh, okay.
I know this is on one of the streamers. I will sit down
Yeah.
and watch it just so that I can be, because like they've now far passed us, even though we started our show like a year and a half before they did. They're in like episode 250 something or 260 something,
Mhm.
something like that. I've probably only seen 10 or 20% of the movies they've done on the show. You don't necessarily have to, but every once in a while it strikes me. It's like, oh, that's a movie they're about to do. They announce it a week out. I was like, I need to watch this movie before the episode comes out since it's on Netflix or whatever the fuck. So I sat there and watched that a couple weeks ago. It's a bad movie, Anthony.
So bad, Al. It's so bad, and I went to the movie theater for it. But I'm trying to keep the movie theater alive. Personally, it seems like it seems like I'm the only one in there.
They're making it really hard. There used to be 2 theaters almost equidistant apart from me on the opposite directions, about 10 minutes away. Neither of them exists. There was another one about 20 minutes away. That was a Regal theater. That also ceased to exist shortly after one of the other ones. So I now have a theater about 35 minutes away from me and a theater about 45 minutes away from me. And then there may be one other one that's also about 45 minutes away from me. Now, the first 2 that I was talking about, they're both AMC's, which is great. One of them is the Palisades one, which you and me have gone to. The other one is right around the corner from that brewery that you want to come up and visit. So, but it's still
brewery and the movie.
I used to be able to just say, "Hey, it's Thursday night. I got home from work. I'd like to go see a movie." I can't do that.
Well, you can. You just need to put a little more oomph.
I mean, functionally, logistically, I basically can't do that.
Listen, I got home from Mission Impossible. It was like 2 a.m.
Sure, but
you can do it.
You work from home. I drive a car all day.
2 a.m.
Yeah,
you can do it.
You work from home. You're not going to crash your desk into the wall.
Kids trump car. I'm not.
No, but you're not going to crash your desk into the wall. I might crash my car into another car because I fell asleep at the wheel.
You'll be fine.
I mean, it's easy for you to say.
You'll be fine. Just get back home afterwards and go to sleep. Go directly to the movie theater after work instead of home.
Again, easy for you to say.
But okay, so we went to see Craven, and I thought to myself, yeah, this is about right. It's horrible and it's fun to make fun of, and it's just an absolutely insanely terrible movie.
Although not as so good it's bad as Morbius / Madame Web. And like those were horrendous movies, but I had more laughing at its expense in those movies than I did in I was mostly just bored by Craven, honestly.
We had a lot of good laughs. There's definitely a drinking game for how many times they say Calypso. I don't know if you noticed that.
100%. There was a moment during that movie, probably about 2/3 of the way through, where I was like, they're doing that thing. Oh, it was something Dark Side, the Family Guy about Empire Strikes Back, where they arrive at Cloud City, and Peter playing Han is introducing everyone to Lando, and he goes to introduce C-3PO and he forgets his name. and he goes, "This is our buddy over here." And he goes, "Oh my god, you forgot my name, didn't you?" And he goes, "Hi, I'm C-3PO." And Han just keeps saying C-3PO over and over again to try to act like he didn't forget.
That's our buddy C-3PO. Of course I remember C-3PO.
Yes, exactly right. C-3PO. And there was a moment watching that movie where I was like, they're doing the C-3PO thing about Calypso to remind us that's what her name is.
100%. That's what it... I feel like at some
there was a scene where he was basically like, "Calypso, I need your help, Calypso. Could you please help me, Calypso?" And I was like, Jesus Christ, dude.
Oh my god. Terrible. But anyway, that movie left me feeling like we're not even close. We're not even close to returning to the movies. And then I saw Thunderbolt.
I regret missing out on it. It came out at an inopportune time for my personal life.
And I watched Thunderbolts, and the movie started, and I was like, all right, I'm here for the popcorn. Like I'm just gonna eat my, like, hanging out with a couple more watch of the movie. And it starts, and I'm like, you've caught my attention. Oh yeah, I forgot how good an actor Florence Pugh is. Oh, I can't stand that guy that plays shitty Captain America, but he's doing a good job. He's got an interest.
That's Kurt Russell's son.
Yeah. And then David Harbour comes in, and I'm like, oh, that's that Marvel comic relief that I've been missing for so long. They forgot to put the funny in the last 16 movies, 16, and I was like, it's not 16. It felt like 16.
It does feel
Eternals felt eternal, but they forgot to put the funny in.
That was on TV a couple weeks ago. I watched a few minutes of it. I realized I was not entirely sure that I remembered what that movie was about. That was also one that we did for the show, and I fell asleep.
You still don't know.
It's like Ghost Protocol. It took me a long time to figure out what Ghost Protocol was about.
But then David Harbour doing his thing, and I'm like, man, this is good. And then it's exciting, and the action feels good. And there's a couple of you can see the shinies. That's what we call our bad special effects here on the show. But it was largely dismissible because the rest of the movie was so fun and enjoyable, and it's like, oh, are you guys getting kind of back on track? It feels like you're getting back on track.
Did you hear Feige
don't tease me.
Feige said a couple weeks ago something along the lines of, we have to get back to writing good stories. And I was like, Jesus Christ, we've been saying this for 5 years.
Yeah. Back to? Why didn't you stay doing that? Yeah, anyway, so that ended, and I was like, man, that was a blast. Also, the reveal of the meaning of the title with the asterisk, very cool. It was very well done, and I was like, this was great. This is what I needed. This gives me a little bit of hope, just a little bit of hope. Let's see how it goes. And then the next week, Kim and I went to go see The Accountant 2, and I was like, this is fun. The movies are fun again.
Was it good? Because that was one that the promotional material made me wonder. I was like, this might be.
I agree. The promotional material does not do it justice. I really liked the first one.
I liked the first one, but one, it didn't really lend itself to a sequel necessarily. And two, the promotional material was cringy.
And what they did, though...
With the exception of, I do want to say, the idea of doing an early release on tax day, that's funny.
That's pretty funny. The cool thing about this one was, it's the first one was The Accountant, and it had its story, and it's they weren't just doing a sequel that's going to follow the same formula of that. Instead, it was mostly about the two brothers and their relationship. It was it was great, and it was you put those two guys together, I'm there. It was awesome. They play off each other so well. They seem like they're genuinely having a good time making the movie. They've these characters that they've created are... John Barenthal is hysterical. He's really funny in it, and not trying to make...
Say his name again?
John Barenthal. Is that not right?
Not exactly.
What is it?
You added an extra E in there.
What is it?
Bernthal.
Is it really?
Oh yeah.
This whole time I thought there was
Well, it's funny because there was a conversation at dinner earlier.
Bernthal.
There was a conversation.
You're blowing up my whole day.
After
John
that, you know when you wear a tuxedo, that like weird sash thing you wear across your stomach?
Bernthal. I would have never spelled his last name correct.
Anthony, you know when you wear a
Ever.
tuxedo, that like thing that you wear across your stomach?
A a a cucumber. What is that thing called?
No, come on, you're close. You can do it. I don't want to take the jury pool. You tell me what it's called.
Cumber.
Yeah?
I want to say Cumberbatch, but that's just
No, that's Benedict Cumberbatch.
that's Benedict.
It's a cummerbund, right?
I don't know. That
that's
doesn't sound quite right, but sure.
No, that's what it is.
Okay.
But look up how you spell that.
Oh God. There is it.
This one's a societal Mandela effect thing though, because there's no B in the middle of that word. Yeah, I see the
Get out of
revelation
here
on your
with
face.
that.
I learned that like maybe 6 months ago, and I was like, no fucking way.
Cummerbund.
Yeah, it's a cummerbund. There's no
Bernthal.
Yes, John Barenthal. So
Bernthal.
So during dinner earlier,
This kills me.
During
I
dinner
really had
earlier,
no idea.
we were talking about This Is the End, which I have not seen in a long time. I saw it a bunch like when it came out, and I have not seen it in a long time. Forgot some of the details. We were talking about a song, and I forgot a certain song being in a part of the movie, whatever. And we were talking about the details of, because I kind of like stitched two scenes that are close together into like one, where like at the end when they're like getting like sucked up into heaven. No one's getting sucked up in here. And I forgot that there was separate scenes of James Franco being elevated and then losing the privilege of falling back down. And then like 5 minutes later, Seth Rogen and Jay Baruchel getting like elevated, right? And I put them all into like one scene where like James Franco like got left behind while they were going up. So we're talking about all that, doesn't matter. But John and Mike couldn't remember what Jay Baruchel's name was. And they're like, Jay, that guy from She's Out of Your League. I was like, Jay Baruchel. I was like, he's in Tropic Thunder too. That's right. So like 90 seconds later, she's calling him Jay Barinholtz. I was like, no, you've made Ike Barinholtz and Jay Baruchel one person. And
that's awesome.
So Jay Barinholtz is now reminding me of John Barenthal.
Yeah. This is crazy. I mean, for years I've definitely been saying his name 100% wrong with conviction.
Yeah, you sounded like you had conviction.
I thought it was right.
Yeah.
I'm guessing like I guess I've never actually have I not heard somebody else say his name.
That's got to be what it is.
And I've never tried to look him up, I guess, or spell it.
Also separately,
I don't know how
he was on Armchair Expert a few weeks ago. I heard him there too, but I knew how to say his name before.
Oh, I'll check that out.
It's funny. You know who was on last week? It was Nick Kroll.
I started listening to that one.
Did you get to the part where they talked about how he's been sick for the last 6 years because he has kids?
Yes, I did.
Because I meant to text you right then and there.
I was like, yeah, it's not just me.
But I was in the middle of a long drive. I was going to be like, Anthony, you're not alone.
Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, we watched The Accountant 2, and it's
John
good.
Berenstein Bear. Yeah.
John the Berenstein Barenthal. They play off each other so well, and like it's so they just do like real relationship well in that movie between the two brothers. I liked it. They brought back the I still don't even know what department of government she works for. The horrible character from the first one, they brought her back for this one. It was dumb.
The one who was like J.K. Simmons' protege or whatever?
Yeah. The one that J.K. Simmons was blackmailing.
Was he?
Yeah, he was like, if you can go figure out who did this, or I will release the fact that you're a criminal and you'll be kicked out of the organization.
I actually don't remember that, but okay.
It's dumb. It's like a weird like, character. Like it's like totally not his character, which is it's bizarre.
Yeah, the whole point of him in that movie is that he's like a good guy. Like he's not a good cop, but he's a good guy.
But anyway, that movie was fun. It was a really fun thing to watch. Like it was engaging for the whole time. Like it was great, and I was like, wow, like this is we're 2 for 2. Well, we're 2 for 3. We're 2 for 3.
Technically, Craven was last year, wasn't it?
Not when I saw it. Was it? Because
I thought it was 20. Wasn't it like around Christmas?
Then wouldn't I have seen it before the last time we recorded?
I don't remember.
I don't know. Whatever. Maybe.
Doesn't matter.
So Okay, I saw those two. I was like, okay, we're on a streak. It's only 2 in a row, but we're on a streak. I was like, this is great. I'm holding out hope. I've been excited for Mission Impossible ever since I knew there was going to be a sequel. I was like, let's go. I love going to see a Mission Impossible movie, and it delivered. And we're going to talk about that later. But it's just like I love. Like this is, I was like this. I could. It started off. I was like, this is a movie, and I was like, this is. I'm so happy to be here right now.
Well, you gotta say it like Harry Styles. It's a movie. It's like a real movie. Craven the Hunter came out December 13th of 2020.
Okay, I'm fairly
Still close
certain
enough.
that I saw it in the new year.
Weeks before 25, whatever.
But yeah. So anyway, we saw that, and I was like, wow. Like I was like, oh my god, it's happening. I was like, the movies might be back. And then I was like, now I'm like actually very excited for Fantastic Four.
Well, I also had this pretty recently in the similar way where it was like, well, the last like month or so, I was like, oh, there's been like a bunch of trailers for movies coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, oh, all of a sudden there's like a bunch of trailers for movies that not only are they coming out, but like kind of coming out soon. And then I was in the AMC at the Palisades, which is, you know, a pretty big theater. And I'm looking around and they have all of the posters and the cardboard pop-ups. And it's like, there's a lot of movies coming out this year. That's a good thing.
They're back. We're back. You see a couple. We'll see a couple.
Yeah.
That's going to be great.
Well, I'm also, excited. You know, to help backstop us, that's why I picked a movie that you could immediately catch on a streamer for the next one. Is like, first of all, there's no way I'm getting back to a theater not anytime soon. I would actually like to go soon because there are things coming out. I'm genuinely shocked that 28 years later is like this imminent. It's coming out in a couple of weeks. And I've still never seen 28 Weeks Later, so I'm going to probably try and do that in the next couple of weeks.
I feel like I need to rewatch them because it's been so long.
I mean, I wouldn't mind rewatching the first one, but I have seen that one several times, so I have a pretty good working knowledge of that movie.
I think I own those. I don't own those.
I actually really want to see Warfare, which came out on a really quick timeline. I think it was
Warfare.
I think that's what it was called. The new Alex Garland movie that came out.
What?
We talked about it a while back, I think. But it came out really quick. I think it's Warfare. Yeah. So
where are you at?
There's a.
What is this on? Is this out? This is like theaters out?
I think it's in theaters right now.
Okay.
Or maybe I don't know. It came out in theaters like not long ago.
Huh.
It came out in theaters in April.
Okay.
Technically,
wasn't he not? What did he write it?
So
and directed it?
Kind of a cool story. So when he was making Civil War, he hired this guy named Ray Mendoza to be his like, let's call it like war consultant, like make like all of this stuff as realistic as possible for how a war would unfold on the continental US, basically, and like how the like specific combat scenes would work out. This guy's a real soldier who has seen combat in the Middle East. The two of them co-wrote and directed this new movie Warfare together, which is a real account that this guy was a part of. And so the way the movie was written was the two of them interviewed all of the surviving members of the squad of this one specific day on a mission they were on. So the whole movie is just all of their recollections of what happened that day.
Jeez.
And like, I think the majority of it basically takes place inside of one building I don't remember if it's in Iraq or Afghanistan, but it's one of those. And it's supposed to be really, they were aiming for it to be as realistic as possible to what that experience would be like. It's supposed to not be dramatized other than just how unreliable someone's recollection of something would be. But that was why they tried to talk about it as much as possible with all of the people who are still around.
Sure.
To see how the perspective change affects like the truth and sensationalism of what's happening when you are under fire or your buddy just got shot next to you and all that sort of stuff. But it's only a handful of guys and it's all people who were just in this literally like one room for a few hours together, taking fire, praying that they're going to get out of there alive. They tried to make it as stripped down and realistic as possible. From what I understand, there is no music in the movie at all. It is
Mhm.
literally just what is happening right then and there.
It sounds like Free Fire, but a lot less fun.
A lot less fun, and instead of a giant abandoned warehouse, like a living room of a house in a city
Right.
in the Middle East.
Man. All right. I want to watch that, but I think I need to be. I'm definitely gonna need to be in the correct mental state.
Yeah, no, this is not a popcorn flick. It's also
No.
not very long. It's an hour and a half long, which makes sense from how stripped down it
Sure.
sounds like it's supposed to be. But
Oh. Okay.
it's a good cast too. It's Will Poulter, Cosmo Jarvis. He was the guy from that. What the fuck was that show called? The samurai show that came out last year, the year before on Hulu, FX, whatever.
Yep.
Shogun.
Shogun. Yeah.
I think there was a couple other people, but it's a small cast. There's like 10 people in the movie or something like that. But
Cool. Yeah, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, so the two of them wrote and directed that movie together, which was pretty cool.
Nice. So that's something else that I'm excited to see Ballerina. And
yeah, that's another thing that's coming out real soon. I definitely want to see that.
Yep. And
Fantastic Four, I also really am excited for.
Looks so good. I'm just so excited for it. I do think that this is the thing. Like Thunderbolts was a good start to getting us back on track, and I hope that this is the thing that really like knocks it out of the park. And then very excited on the 22nd, be taking Elio to see his first.
Hell yeah.
You know it.
Only because I saw a commercial for it today.
Yeah. So we're taking Elio to see Elio, and I am so pumped. A nice Sunday morning showtime. He's very excited. I think he's mostly excited for the popcorn.
Not for
which
the
I get.
fact that there's a movie about him.
Yeah, he seems to be like not like so impressed by this. I'm like, dude, I don't think you understand how unique your name is.
Has he not like registered that?
No, I don't think it's not. That's definitely not registered at all. It will in time. Or it won't, because now this movie comes out. Now the name is more readily available. But
It'd be curious to track the popularity of that name in this country, with like you have the movie that you named him after from several years ago, which was probably relatively lightly watched, so to speak. I mean, it was Oscar nominated, but like,
yeah,
I'm sure 100 million people have not watched that movie in this country, right? Like, it wasn't like the most. It wasn't a Star Wars or a Mission Impossible. But now with this movie coming out, to see like the graph where it's like, like not very much, maybe a little bit of spike, and then all of a sudden it takes off, like a bunch of people naming their kid Elio.
Yeah, unless it bombs.
That's a possibility, I suppose.
Yeah. But anyway, it just seems like it's finally happening, and I'm so very excited for it. And while I'm super bummed that we missed Oscar season this year on account of the illness, on account of the plague,
the plague,
we shall return in full force in 2026.
Okay,
that's the next episode. No, okay.
I mean.
No, I'm hoping that we can dust off some of the cobwebs this year. All right, we're gonna get back to a little bit more of a regular cadence. I'm hoping that we have we are gonna have to continue the annual beer fest, because that was wonderful.
Yeah,
I would like to get back to maybe a pumpkin beer party around the Halloween season this year, provided that we don't have a house full of sick people. So we're gonna try to get this thing. We're going to try to get this life back on track.
This life.
Listen,
man, it's fine. If you have a sinus infection, we could just do an episode, man. It's fine. Just do it.
Yeah. Sound ridiculous. All right. That was it for like the news. That transition. That was some of the things that I watched. So kind of moving into consumption. Is that where you're at too?
Sure. Let's start with I consumed. I don't know. Do we want to tease what prospectively next episode will be about? Because I watched the movie on Monday.
What was it again?
Mountainhead.
This
is a new movie by Jesse Armstrong, the creator of Succession.
Mm-hmm.
I described it, and I think I might just end up using this directly for the synopsis next week, but I described it as snorting a season of Succession that was cut with a sprinkle of Death of Stalin.
Good Lord. Okay.
The movie is only like an hour and a half long. It's a short movie.
Okay.
It's
approachable.
Like Approachable. It's on HBO. You don't have to
Yeah.
leave the comfort of your own home.
Yeah.
90% of this movie is just four idiots in a mansion in the mountains in Utah.
Okay.
It's supposed to be about four like tech billionaires who are buddies who get together for an occasional poker game. You have your kind of Bill Gates ish type, you have your kind of Elon Musk ish type, etc. So on. It's Steve Carell, um, Jason Schwartzman, Rami Youssef, and I think it's Corey Michael Smith, who I was not like particularly familiar with his work before this.
He looks familiar.
Yeah, I looked him up, but I think there was like one thing I like kind of recognized him from, and I already forgot. But um,
Oh, I remember him from the trailer for Saturday Night, which I still haven't watched yet.
okay, yeah, I did want to see that movie. I did notice that he was in that. He played the young Chevy Chase, I think.
And he was Edward Nygma in Gotham.
Yeah, that doesn't mean
You clocked that? Edward Nygma.
Yes, which we enunciated clearly.
Yeah. Gary.
No, we never actually talked about that on the show before.
It's fine.
But anyway, it's a movie. This is a movie for sure. But
okay, yeah,
this
sounds up my alley.
It was an interesting story. I like basically had never heard of it before, like a week or two ago, and all of a sudden, like Fast and Furious, before it even came out, I started seeing a bunch of stuff. Saw the trailer on HBO. I was like, oh, okay, this is the next thing from Succession. It looks like Succession. Great. Love Steve Carell. Let's do it. Yeah. So basically, like the idea for this movie has been kicking around in Jesse Armstrong's head for a while. He like basically wrote a good amount of the script, but I don't think he had really fully finalized it before like they like actually got going with like the casting and everything. They turned this movie around in like a couple of months. Like from what I understand, wow, when they actually like sat down to shoot it to like it releasing, it was like 4 months.
Wow, that's cool.
I don't know. I didn't see what the official timeline was, but I'm not joking. They probably shot this like 100% in like under 2 weeks. Because the vast majority of the movie is literally just these 4 people talking in different rooms in this house.
Sure.
There are a handful of other people that come in and out from like the sidelines here and there, and like the 4 of them take an excursion on snowmobiles in the snow. And like other than that, it's basically all of them just in this house the whole movie. Again, kind of like Free Fire.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's if you like Succession, I feel like you'll enjoy this. It's his first movie that he's directed. He wrote and directed it. It's an experience.
Yeah. All right. Well, you heard it here, folks. Next episode, we'll be doing a mountain.
Hopefully, possibly with a guest in tow.
With what?
I said hopefully, possibly with a guest in tow.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Hopefully, recurring guest Nelson will be joining us because he's
nice.
He's a huge Succession fan. So I texted him the other night when I was sitting down to watch it. I was like, "You got to watch this." And assuming we can get the schedule to work out next week, maybe he'll be joining us. So,
all right, Nelson, let's make it happen. Cool. I am still consuming the Westworld.
Still, after all this time.
Yeah, we've got.
I mean, there was like a million.
3 episodes left.
What's that?
We're 3 episodes out.
Oh, you're that close? Okay, so you're right.
Yeah, we're close. We're close to the end.
There's a couple hundred of those, right?
Yeah, there's 7 seasons of 22 apiece.
Oof.
Yeah. Hey, man, it's been a ride. Like,
no, I mean, more power to you.
It's a good show. They really did me dirty in the previous episode, but I'm trying to get past it.
Is it one of those things like where we're like approaching the end and like someone like gets almost gratuitously killed off or something?
Yeah,
that happens.
Not gratuitously, but like an off-camera death.
Well, it's like,
and like
I just say gratuitously because it's like if you had a show running that long, like why bother killing someone off like at the finish line like that?
Yeah,
to me that's a bit odd. Like if you had like a shocking death like early in a final season, how does that like spin forward and like how do people like adjust to that? Like when you have a show that's running that long, I almost wonder like why bother killing someone off like near the end.
Yeah. So you know what? I'm just going to talk about it because the show's been out forever,
like 20 years, something like that. Yeah.
So the Leo McGarry, who was the president's chief of staff, and then
that's the character's name or the actor?
That's the character's name. president's chief of staff, and then he has a heart attack in like a season or two ago, and right after the president fired him, but only told him, like it wasn't like an official thing yet. He had a heart attack moments after that, and then he couldn't do his duties anymore, so like he kind of was stepped down, and then he still gets kind of involved and helps them out because he's really good at his job and whatnot, and then becomes the running mate for the next president, out of nowhere. Like they realize like he's the best fit for it, like his experience
I'm
with
sorry,
the new guys.
The chief of staff became the running mate?
Yeah,
That's a TV thing.
the former chief of staff, the one that was fired. So, well, not fired, but had a heart attack. Anyway, it's getting closer. It's election night.
Yeah, he didn't fire. His heart quit.
His heart quit. It was election night, and they're getting closer and closer, and they go to check on Leo, and he's dead in his bathroom. Well, not dead. He had a heart attack in his bathroom. He was unconscious. He died at the hospital. Whatever. But all of that happens off screen,
Oh,
and
so
it was
this is
just
more
like
of a Sopranos thing.
And I was like, why did you like? I was like, yeah, you guys really needed to do this. And then in the last episode, they had it. It was his funeral. That was the episode that we watched last night, and the funeral and the wake and like ceremonies and stuff. And the current vice president makes a comment to somebody else, and he's like, yeah, and only 52 years old. Like that's crazy. And I was like, listen, I like this guy was way older than that. I was like, are you telling me that this 70-year-old man was 52? Like, because he looks like granted, I'm sure they tried to make it like like the office has weathered him and whatnot, right? But like you're gonna go with 52.
Was this guy played by Wilford Brimley or
hang on, let me see if I can. I don't know what the actor.
That was mostly a reference to the Wilford Brimley line with Cocoon. You're aware of that, right? Yeah.
Yes, I just don't know who. I don't actually know what his name is.
So I'm pretty sure he was like a 49-year-old man playing a 75-year-old grandfather.
Fair enough. Hang on. I think you'll. Where's this guy? John Spencer is his name.
That doesn't sound familiar.
Anyway, he's definitely not like. There's no way that you're not pulling off 52. Is what I'm getting at in this. Now I'm kind of curious though. So even like,
oh, this guy.
Oh my God, did he die?
Yeah, he died like at that time. Oh, they killed him off on the show because he died.
Oh no! I gotta go tell Kim about this. This is horrible.
Yeah, I was say
This is the worst news.
That old in real life. Yeah, he was the guy from The Rock. He was the guy from The Rock.
Huh.
Sorry. Can you do a terrible? Oh, I forgot he was in War Games too. Anthony, can you do a decent Sean Connery or?
No, I haven't tried. I haven't tried. But I don't think I have that one in my repertoire.
Oh yeah, he was in The Negotiator. I totally forgot about that.
Okay, but he was 60. He wasn't pulling off.
He was 58.
So he also looked older than.
He was 58.
He was 58. Okay, he looked older than that too.
I agree with you that he looked 58 10 years earlier in The Rock. I'm not even joking. Like he looked. I would have guessed he was in his mid to late 50s when he was apparently 48.
Okay, so I take it all back now, and I understand why they did it. Yeah. Cool. This makes a lot more sense.
I agree as well. Now it makes a little more sense. He probably died while they were shooting the show.
Yeah, definitely.
Was on the brink of death, whatever. Like
100%. Maybe on set. Maybe that was a real scene.
He's from he's from near where you live. He's from Paterson, New Jersey.
Huh. It's interesting now. I'm curious, like how like the rest of the season would have played out if he was in it, because I know that it's like kind of a big thing, and an entire episode dedicated to passing.
He passed away of a heart attack.
Wow, that's crazy.
When did that show actually end?
Learned this on the air. That's crazy. Well, I'm guessing in 2005 when that happened.
No, I'm just trying to see like when like the final season exactly aired.
Let's find out. 2000 May 14th, 2000.
Oh yeah, so he probably died during the filming of the final part of the season, because this had one of those like mid-season breaks. The first half of the season aired from September of 2005 to January. Well, they took a break. Sorry, to December of 2005. Then they took a break through Christmas, January through. Sorry, they did 3 episodes in the month of. Oh shit! Maybe they stopped because he died.
Oh, maybe.
Because the way that these things work, when they did seasons like this, they would shoot like a quarter of the season, then start airing those episodes while they were shooting the rest of the season. Like that's how these shows would go
Mm-hmm.
back then, or something like, or like they shoot half the season and then they took a break from January through March, which they used to do that like
Yep.
hiatus around
Mm-hmm.
seasons or whatever, when they used to do these 24 episode or 22 episode whatever
Yeah, you
seasons.
can tell when they happen because the people's hair changed significantly.
Yep.
Episode.
But yeah, he probably literally died while they were shooting this. Not necessarily
That's
on
terrible.
set, but like, you know, in the
So
process during those.
now I'm really sad and bummed out for.
Well,
Ah,
this is what happened with Sopranos when they killed off Olivia, the mother. She was not.
hmm,
They were not going to kill her off in the second season of that show. She died in real life, so they had to kill her off in the show.
gotcha.
And
Yeah,
it was like again, it was a fairly sudden death. Like she was expected to be back.
I just saw that the final season started in on September 25th of that year, and I was like, oh, it is a friend of the show, Matt LeMary's birthday, and for that reason, I also know that it is Catherine Zeta-Jones' birthday and Will Smith's birthday because he used to tell us every year
Oh,
that he shared a birthday with these celebrities.
it's funny when someone has like a statistically relevant. Like my mom shares a birthday with like a fair amount of fairly well known celebrities.
Hmm. I share a birthday with a coworker
Hmm.
and a coworker's wife, but my coworker's wife is also the same year. I was like,
Oh,
wow. I
okay.
was like, same day. It happens. I feel like you come across people all the time. Same day, same year.
Yeah,
Yeah, smaller circle,
birthday
smaller
twins.
circle. I don't know how we got on this. Oh, that was what it was consuming the West Wing. I'm hoping to. I'm I'm gonna be sad when it's over. Because like it's been a ride watching it. It's been a very enjoyable watch. But I'm also kind of like ready to be done because it's also been a long time coming. But it's been good. The next one up that just ended for us, we just finished The Handmaid's Tale,
Oh yeah, the
which
final
was
season just ran, right?
yeah,
Like
yeah, which was
3 years
fine.
after the last season or something like that.
It's been a minute.
Honestly, I thought the show had ended because it had been so
Yeah.
long and I never watched it, but
I
like that was a big show. Like yeah, I would be aware of that show when it was on.
Yeah, it was like it definitely felt like a long time between the two seasons, and then like I don't know, this final season, like I know there's a source material, and they probably followed it pretty closely for like how they do the ending, but I was just like, there's a big thing that still hasn't happened, and I was like, I had to look it up after the fact to see like if in the novels it happens, and apparently it kind of does, but not in this story. In the next one, I was like, oh god, and then I looked it up, and yes, they are doing another series, and I was like, no, I was like, I don't know if I'm invested enough for that, but we'll probably
Mm.
watch
Yeah, the last season aired in the fall of 2022. It's been 2.5 years.
it. That's it. The last two things on there you haven't finished yet, so maybe we'll be able to talk about them a little bit more deeply the next time we record. But The
Yeah,
Last of Us
I wasn't sure
and
where you
Andor.
were at with all that because I know you said you hadn't finished Andor. Unfortunately, I have not finished Andor. Um,
Last of Us I finished. Andor I am on the fifth episode.
all right, I think I am one or two ahead of you.
Isn't there only seven?
Andor?
Yeah,
No, it's 12.
it's 12. Nice. I'm glad because
It's
I'm really enjoying it.
it's 4 arcs of 3.
Oh, okay, cool. That makes sense. Because we just did the 1 year later jump.
Yeah, so there's each
Um,
one is a moment in time, a year apart.
okay, cool. Oh, cool.
So I finished the second arc. I've seen 6 of them.
Oh, nice. All right, sweet. So yeah, I'm very much enjoying. I mean,
No, it was fantastic. It was a
what an
scheduling
incredible
thing
show.
for me because I'll jump into a little bit of consumption because we only have to spend a moment or so on it. But I've been really in on the hockey and basketball playoffs, specifically basketball because
Ah,
the
okay.
Knicks made it to the conference finals. So I've been watching a lot of sports that got in the way of some of the shows because I was really enjoying The Last of Us. Although I will say I did encounter something early in the season I've never quite had before with the show where when I was getting ready to sit down to watch an episode, I was like, kind of dreading watching this. Or in the sense more, this show instills upon me in a way that even like The Walking Dead didn't, like a sense of impending dread. Still looking forward to watching the show, enjoying the show while watching it, but it was always one of those like, okay, I got to get ready for this because this is so dark on a weekly basis. But the studio was really enjoying. It was a fun, really fun
I watched
project.
I think 3 of those, and I was like, this is something special. The Wonder episode killed me.
Oh, yeah.
I was just like, this is just perfect all around.
But I think I still need to watch like 2 or 3 of those. I think similar thing. The last episode of The Last of Us I saw was the episode in Seattle where they end up escaping through like the train station.
I think the last one I saw was before that, so I'm not sure.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you'd seen the whole season. I thought you.
Oh no, just a few episodes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you said you'd finished that, but not finished Andor.
No.
Okay.
No, finished The Last of Us.
I just said The Last of Us, the train station.
Wait a second. Didn't you just say the studio?
No, I moved from the studio to The Last of Us.
You moved back to The Last of Us.
Yes.
Got it. The train. Oh yeah, that was good.
I think there's only like 3 after that or something like that. 2 or 3.
That show was only 7 episodes.
Yes, that sounds right. Something like that.
That's what it was. Which was not enough. They made a choice. So like the game has 3 very distinct parts.
3.
And they're
okay.
Yeah, and those 3 parts are going to be the 3 seasons that they're supposedly doing.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
I assumed. So I've been trying to avoid too much. I know the big picture of everything that happened in the game, mostly because Brian wrote those like 2 reviews of the game. I edited all of them. I'm aware big picture, although the longer we go from that time, the more of the details I lose track of. But I remember most of the big picture stuff.
Yeah.
The way I was hearing, because I've been trying to avoid too much, because I just want to watch it all before like diving more into like the conversation around it. But I've seen like a good amount of like stuff, like whether it be Mason or Druckmann or other people talking about it. I've seen some like snippets of it, and the way the last bit I'd read, I thought was, I was wondering whether I knew that the next season would be like, I thought from what I was seeing that the next season would be like the second half of the second game. And but the way they talked about it was saying that he thought they needed like whatever it was, 2 or 3 more seasons.
They'll probably do 2 more seasons from what I know.
But the way I was reading it, I thought the point of that was that after next season they would actually be breaking some new ground, which got people. I saw people were talking about whether there's a third game coming up.
Yeah, and I thought he mentioned that there is another one.
Well, what I had
another story to tell.
What I had thought I had heard was that it was one of those, we haven't confirmed we're working on a new game, but we're working on a new game. You know how they do that with video games?
Yeah. The thing is, I don't know, like, so the first season covers, like, you play the video game as Ellie and you play as Abby. And the first season covers the first portion of you playing as Ellie. So I
know what you mean, but
so the next season will be covering
the Abby portion, yes.
The Abby portion, probably up to the same point, and then I would imagine the season after that I think what it'll likely do is do the rest of the game plus a little bit more to kind of lead you up to the next part of the story, which then the third game will come and finish off from there, is my theory. Because there's other characters and people to introduce and things going on. Yeah. So we'll see. I know the viewership also dropped, so we'll see. Hopefully,
I think that'll stabilize.
Let's hope, because they need to keep going.
Yeah.
But man, I do think that they did a pretty good job of like kind of capturing those feelings and experiences of the game in like TV format. It's not quite the same because you just spend so much more time with these characters. So like it's like having to adapt for television makes they have to make certain changes, and I think largely they've done a good job. And they also I appreciate that they've done. There are certain things that they just kept wholesale, like exactly the way they happen, like big moments.
I've seen some of the discourse back and forth about what was kept exactly the same and the appreciation of or whatever of those things and the changes and who liked and who didn't like some of those changes. And without having witnessed the game, it's hard for me to weigh in on all of those things. I mean, I do have opinions on some of those things, but not all of them. So
Mhm. Yeah, I the thing that gets me is I'm normally like okay with like a new take on a character, and like maybe they look a little bit different or have a different just a different style to them. But Abby in the game is jacked and
yeah, I
is
know.
this like this she's a presence,
Yeah,
like, and it's terrifying, like in the like when you're introduced to her, right? Whereas like in this it's like a little bit more of a I feel like it's in the game it felt like both like a psychological terror because of like how the rage that she's feeling, but then on top of it like she's like this formidable foe. Like it's just it had a lot of weight to it, and to not do that was a choice. I mean, they casted this person that doesn't quite fit that physique, but then again, then they go into like they will show the character again. And I was like, they actually did a good job of like make almost kind of like bringing that stature back a little bit. I felt like in like the latter episode. So I was just like, I don't know why they made some of those choices, but maybe it's not. Maybe they don't find it that important, and maybe it's not. But I thought that I thought that the presence that she has in the game was kind of lacking from the show because of.
yeah. I mean, I always kind of wondered about that, like how important it is when it's like a super grounded game. Like we're not talking about like a fantastical game where like the physicality matters in that sort of way, because like ultimately Ellie is not like, we're not talking about Captain America here who needs to be physically subdued, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So like at a certain point I almost wonder like how much does that even matter.
Well, I would say like oh, I can't get. I don't want to spoil. I mean, some of it's not fresh in your mind, and then I'm not. It's obviously like not getting there yet until like the next season. So I think there's a good reason for it in the next part of the story,
Mm.
and there's a good reason for it in the season in the episode two story. In the while it's shocking and like horrible and everything in the show, I felt it was even more intense and terrifying in the game just because of how brutal
That's
it is.
fine, but like the scene in the show was plenty brutal enough. And ultimately when you're using a weapon it's a big equalizer anyway, you know?
Yeah, that's fair.
And like
Um,
they kick it off by like incapacitating him anyway. Because if like there's a big, I mean, you've either been watching or not watching. So spoiler
yeah,
alert for the second episode of this season
yeah.
of The Last.
You could probably if you don't want to hear this, you can skip chapter to the flick.
But there's a big difference between like an alley brawl between Abby and Joel when he's in his full faculties versus there's six people who are holding someone he cares about hostage. He drops his weapons. She shotguns him in the knee and then starts going to town on him with a weapon. You don't
Hmm.
need to be someone who's physically imposing to do those things,
Sure, but
right?
I think
Like
there's
ultimately
something.
that that leaves you like devoid of like a need for someone to be physically imposing.
But yeah, no, I get what you're saying, but I do think that the like her being physically imposing has a bigger effect on like why some of the other characters didn't step in because they're not really like yes they're on this mission too with you, but they're not as bought into it like at this point this many years later like
Well,
they're people they're recognizing that they say he saved one of them, like there's like a
from some of the stuff I already like I couldn't avoid, but again, like I wasn't so concerned about considering I'm not too concerned about being spoiled for things in this show. In a
yeah.
way that I would in other shows, and I'm not like I'm not always super precious about spoilers anyway. I'm not to the
Mhm.
extent that Brian is, but like
Yeah.
I
The
it
weirdo seeks them out.
my mileage varies depending on like how much I really actively care about a thing, and when it's something that's adapting something, it's something that's always gonna be less versus something that's new material. I don't want to be spoiled for stuff that's like totally new material. If it exists out there already, I know it's something I could stumble on anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that there's stuff late in this season that probably comes more into play with what you're talking about, like her own people being intimidated by her or not, right?
Not in this season. Next season.
Oh, I thought I read something about that. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Regardless, I actually thought they did a good job of conveying her uncontrollable rage. Doesn't matter what size she is.
Yeah.
I thought she performed that well. And so,
and maybe that was the point.
Yeah.
Maybe the point was to lean more into like the psychological aspect of it, like
the mental emotional state and how that cowed the people involved with her. Because during the course of it, you see revulsion on the faces of some of her own people.
Right.
They don't step in because it's like, well, what's the point? That's more what I viewed as. Well, even if I wanted to stop this, what am I accomplishing by doing that? So I'm just going to look away.
Yeah.
And you assume that in that moment, I assumed, again, forgetting some of the details, or frankly, I'll just say this: I don't really remember the details of the dynamics of her and her crew from the game. I don't remember that being something he touched on, like as being super important in his review. So, not to say it wasn't important to the game, it just I don't remember that being an aspect of the review. So, like
it's important, but yeah,
I'm sure it is. But my point is, like, I just don't remember that featuring heavily into the review. So,
gotcha.
I would say in the moment of watching that, I assumed, like, I kind of marked that as, oh, I'm curious to see what the downstream effects of that are in their relationships within her crew. So,
yeah,
I thought that was effective as someone just watching the show.
Fair enough. That's good.
With a working knowledge of the game, but like not like a detail for detail.
Yeah, and like unlike the internet, I'm not like hung up on this where I'm like annoyed at the show. I was just it was like one of the things that I clocked as like, oh,
that's something.
I was surprised like that you're not going this route because like in my mind it was a memorable part of the character and the experience. So like whatever. And then but we'll get we'll see what she does with the role. And then I do know that like people are like either heavily in one direction or the other on Bella Ramsey.
But that was also true of the game, though, right? I feel like the discourse around this show is just as polarizing as the discourse around the second game was.
Like, people hate on the second game a lot,
but also people adored the second game.
And I do, yeah, I do. I'm in that camp. I would say that,
and Brian even more to a level of congratulations, Brian. This is the first time we're having an episode since you had a kid. Congratulations to Brian having a kid.
Congratulations.
He named it after his favorite character from his favorite game. Like,
yeah. But the thing with it, oh my god, I lost my train of thought.
Polarization.
Yeah, sorry, Ellie. So I wasn't like 100% sold on Bella Ramsey in the first, and I think that had a lot to do with her. Like she was trying to portray this character who was like is much younger and like trying to play like this immature role, but she is more mature, so like it's not really coming across well. There were just some pieces of it didn't fit because I also loved the Ellie from the game, but in the second season, I don't know if it was like dialect coaching or like just like just direction or what, but like there are moments where it's like, wow, you like fully embodied the character like 100%, and I was like, well done. like you got it. So that was kind of cool to see it progress that way. Yeah, I'm looking forward to you finishing it, and then looking forward to the next season, which won't come for another 3 years. It's gonna be a Handmaid's Tale gap.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, a lot of these shows are, which is kind of crazy when we're not talking about 22 episode shows. When we're having trouble churning out 7 episode shows, it's weird. Conversely, the 4th season of The Bear is coming out in a couple of weeks.
Right.
Like clockwork, it's always in June every year.
That I'm excited about. But you know what? That kind of kills me with this show in particular because it's like it feels like they should have like just kept filming. Like they.
I mean, they do have to give these people a break. They do, but
sure. But I almost like I don't know.
You would think that the breaks would be shorter because the scripts are mostly largely written.
Yeah, largely, and then but like it's as if they haven't even gotten started yet.
Well, that's the weird thing,
and they haven't on filming. At least they haven't.
That's the weird part is like the fact that you're not even back starting to film like a year after you're done filming. Forget about like when the show came out, like when you're done filming.
Yeah.
Because like they do need, like these are long intense shoots like for a big set piece like related.
A lot of work goes into it.
Yeah.
I don't just, but I just think,
It's not the
especially
same
with
as
like
a sitcom
overlap.
where you're sitting in like the same 6 studios, like just shooting, like
Yeah,
shooting a shoot. Which not saying it's not hard work, also, but like it's just different.
but there's going to be you know what I the reason why I find it particularly interesting with this is that in the next season there's going to be a lot of set that is the same,
Mm.
like because it's the characters like in these places at different times, so like it almost feels like it would be
They should
more
have shot. They
effective
should have
to
shot like a
shoot at
double
least
season.
those.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in which case then you wouldn't have a ton more probably to shoot to finish out unless you really just don't have the script where you want it yet.
Which again, like back to the point you were making, like most of it should be pretty hammered out. But yeah, you would think in a specific case like this, which is not like the same that would apply to every show, but like if you had a lot of overlap, almost like doing like a long shoot of like 2 seasons
Mm.
would make a lot of sense. And then you release them a year apart, give everyone like 18 months off after shooting the long season,
Yeah.
and then come back to shoot the next season like while they're airing the second of
Yeah,
those
so
2
that you could
seasons.
have year, drop,
Yeah.
drop.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
even if you had a year and a half off between the third and fourth season, like that's fine.
sure. Yeah, well, I was more concerned when I heard that the like with the viewership drop and the fact that they hadn't started filming yet. I was like, it's not out of the realm of possibilities of like cancellation.
No, they're gonna make at least one more season. There's no question.
I hope so. I hope so. All right. Anything else for consumption?
I don't think so. At least not of like immediately recent vintage. Like I'd have to go
The
back.
last thing.
Oh wait,
I
sorry, no.
mentioned-
Actually, I got back to like out of season for a couple of months of like football stuff. This is usually where I start to do a little bit more listening to books.
Okay.
So I actually crushed a few books, relatively short books. I had never actually listened to them. I wish I had a couple of years ago, but it was still good to be able to do it now. I'd had like a big backlog of like credits on Audible like piling up, so there was 3 novels that released in support of the Mass Effect Andromeda game release. Listened to those 3 novels. It was cool. It was fun. It was good to be able to finally do those. Started listening to something new this week. There's this sci-fi author. I think of like he's been pretty prolific in like the last, let's call it, decade or so. I want to say. I looked into it a while back. I just like downloaded the book like a couple months ago, but I started listening this week. The author is, I think it's Adrian Tchaikovsky. He does a lot of sci-fi stuff.
Okay.
The book that I was listening to, because I think he's written some standalone books and then 1 or 2 like series. So this one I think is a standalone one. It's called Alien Clay. It's an interesting book. I think I've listened to like 4 or 5 chapters now. Um, it's it's kind of like a futuristic sci-fi grafted onto 1984, where
Cool.
there's a lot of talk about how this is like a dystopic, there's like a authoritarian government with like the thought control and everything's got to be close. So their big thing is it's the mandate, and from what I can tell so far, it's meant to be kind of a grafting of theocracy with ultra scientific, like, so it's not one or the other. It's like kind of an all-encompassing
Mm-hmm.
philosophy of like there's almost like an overlap of advanced science with like super religious fervor type of thing, with how like this not so much thought control, but like you have to be with like the doctrine of that is accepted by the government at that time. But the gist of it is it's a period of time where there is colonization within the solar system outside of Earth. Tough to sustain. So like picture what maybe like 100 years from now would be realistic in that sense, where it's like,
Okay.
yes, there's legitimate colonies that exist like on Mars and like a couple other places within the solar system, but the upkeep is pretty dramatic because ultimately those are not hospitable worlds, right?
Right.
There are also outside of the solar system, there has been exploration and even a couple of places that they found extremely basic signs of life, meaning like there was some algae that exists on this planet, or like grass and rudimentary like arthropods or something like that, but like not like intelligent life.
Mm-hmm.
but now they found a planet that has exhibiting a history of intelligent life, but no actual like evidence of current versions of it. And so the gist of it is outside of the solar system, anyone who's alive on any of those planets is largely like enemies of the state, and that it's
Okay.
cheaper to have like to basically send them to the space gulag to either send back important resources or to support science missions, but they're not actual colonies. And what was kind of novel about this was so it was actually cheaper to send political prisoners on one-way trips to like die in the mines of these planets than it is to send
Sure.
robots, like intelligent robots that they have like with like that were able to do complex tasks.
Mm-hmm.
They only made a certain amount of ships that were capable of doing trips back and forth. So like the people who are not political prisoners, who were like either running the mining or running the science expeditions, those people would go for an extended period of time, and then they would be able to come back if they so chose. But it was very limited who could do all of that, because, and they don't get into the specifics of the science probably because they just like don't want to get focused and like bogged down and all that. But like, so the planet that this book is taking place on is a 30-year journey each way through space. So
Okay.
their concept of ability to do like quote unquote high speed travel across long distance, like faster than light travel, it exists, but it's in like the more grounded state of where sci-fi would exist. But what was interesting was the book starts with, and it's basically a lot of it is like the running stream of consciousness of the main character for the most part. Occasionally, it goes more almost to like narration of like a outside observer, but most of it is almost like a stream of consciousness of the main character, like third person, or actually, I guess it was first person. Um, but it starts with them. So they basically put them into like a cryostasis thing, although it's less on like the temperature control and more on the fact that they like suck all of the fluids out of you and put you into a comatose state.
Okay.
They rehydrate you when you're going to be needed to be revived because landing was going to happen. But it was much cheaper to create a ship that was never going to land and return back. So they call it, I think it was like a disintegrator ship. The ship is designed to explode on entry into the atmosphere of the next planet, and everyone is assigned to like individual pods that they hope you survive the crash in. And basically, like, yes, it is an investment to send all, and there's actually like a whole like couple of paragraphs where he talks about like the economics of the planning of, we know a certain amount of you are going to die, but we're going to send you on this trip knowing that if X amount of you survive, it will be viable economically to have like sent you and to do accomplish the work that we want you to accomplish over.
Oh my god.
So it was an interesting, there's some definitely like some like extremely black comedy, like tongue-in-cheek humor to this.
Yeah.
There's also some like real sci-fi to all this, because you find out after the first couple of chapters that like the crux of this is, of like the 5 or so planets that they found like either a rudimentary amount of life or like that it was capable of sustaining life, there's one planet that exists. They basically find ruins that like had to have been designed by something or someone, but there's no evidence of who it might have been done by. There
Hmm.
is like animal life there of a couple of handful of species that is like well beyond what they're used to cataloging on Earth. That there's mysteries of like there's a lot of science is devoted to trying to understand those, but they're it's animal life. This is not intelligent, sentient life, right? Like this is like the equivalent of like finding a rabbit,
Yeah.
or something like that. Versus who the fuck built all of this over here? Because
Right.
there's no bones. There's no
The
broken down technology. There's no
bones of their dollars, Al.
the bones of their money. So it's interesting that they started off right after that with like a lot of mystery boxes that are all set up. But I don't know, it's
Cool.
interesting. It's
Yeah, that's fun.
I will say that the style it's written in, I think probably would have been more beneficial reading it on a page versus listening to it, because the stream of consciousness kind of can be tough to follow
Oh,
occasionally.
totally. Yeah, I've come across that a couple times in an audiobook where I'm like, wait, what just Whose thoughts are these? Mine or theirs?
Yeah, so it's not to the level that Dune is, but it's kind of a distant cousin of that.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Cool. Well, keep me posted on that. Sounds interesting. All right. Well, I think it's officially time for our flick of the week. Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, released in 2025, rated PG-13, with a 2-hour and 49-minute runtime. Sorry, I got caught up for a second. PG-13 caught me by surprise, but I guess that tracks. Nothing too crazy
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, I don't.
in there.
I don't think any of them were rated R.
Yeah, I guess not. I don't know why I thought that, but yeah, that makes sense. Your ridiculous IMDb synopsis. Our lives are the sum of our choices. Tom Cruise's Ethan Hunt in Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning.
That's not a synopsis. That's closer
Come
to a
on,
slogan than
IMDb.
anything.
That's what you got going on here? This is a joke. Anyway, that's where we're at. Al, do you want to start us off with your Toot-length review?
The most audacious mission, if nothing else, and another wild ride. If this is the end, that works. If not, we'll choose to accept another. 8 out of 10.
Nice. The return to the movies that I've been waiting for. Nothing short of a blockbuster. 8 out of 10.
Okay.
I think, and then I started thinking about that and how I feel like in order to be a blockbuster, I feel like you want to squarely fit at that 8 out of 10. I don't think you're pushing for 10. I don't think that's a blockbuster. I think that's a different type of movie.
I
I
think
think 9,
let's call it the 7 to 8 range, right?
the 7 to 8 range gets you that. Yeah, you're valid. You're valid for the blockbuster category at that.
For the most part. I mean, there's always going to be exceptions, but I think for the most part, that's where you want to be, right? Because
Yeah.
I think, I mean, the original blockbusters was Jaws and the first Star Wars, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those probably come in on the higher end of that range, right? Those
Sure.
might be 8 plus.
Yeah. This movie. So, like I had mentioned before, like how like the return to the movie. This was it, though. This was the seal. Like we're back. Like this is what I needed. I was so happy, like watching it, like at minute to minute. I was so, even though it has its flaws. Every movie does, but it's just like it was just such an entertaining romp, and there's just it had it reminded me of the end game effect of like they played on the fact that there's a whole bunch of other stuff that came before it, and they pulled on it and like built on those relationships and like really juiced those relationships to it, like to make it more meaningful, impactful as things were happening throughout the movie. And I just I kind of like that situation where like the movie franchise can be so successful that they're still entertaining to watch this many years later and this many entries later, and it just makes them they all kind of get elevated by like the combination of the story. Now, granted, I feel like with something like the Infinity Saga, it was after the first phase, maybe first 1.5 to 2 phases, they were starting to plan further out so that like the stories had a place that they were going and were cohesive that way, where this did some like retcon cohesion, which I was fine with. Like I feel like you just kind of fill in some gaps that you didn't know were there because they had the ability to do that, just because
You mean like
every movie's out.
You mean the fact that he was like in love with some nameless woman who got
100%.
murdered, and we never get any further context to that?
Exactly. They just pepper it in there,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh, this person from your past is back with a vengeance. It's like, from my past other movies. No. Before that,
from the past that you never even knew existed.
Yeah, from the Mission Improbable era, before you got elevated to tackling the more impossible ones.
I will say, I did actually appreciate that there were elements of past that came back. They were showing, and I think they did a little bit of this in the last movie. I rewatched Dead Reckoning Friday night, and then I saw this on Sunday.
Okay.
I want to say they did play a little bit of the flashbacks in the last movie, but more so in this one, where they're just like flat out showing just like scenes from the older.
Yeah.
And I appreciated that they really lingered for a moment on Dunlow and the flashback to the first one, and then he's in it, and
That was great.
I was like, you know what? Good for him. Good for them giving him a chance at a redemption, considering he got totally fucked in that situation, and not because he did anything wrong.
Nope.
This wasn't like the guy who got.
No, they made him a hero.
Yeah, well, I thought he deserved that, like I said, redemption arc because
Totally.
He was totally taken advantage of in a place that he was supposed to be safe. Like he was poisoned in the cafeteria. It wasn't like he was secretly doing drugs outside. Because in a different movie, right, he would have been doing drugs or been compromised in something or whatever, and then blackmailed or whatever, out off site. No, he was sitting in the supposedly secure cafeteria of the secure site.
Mm-hmm.
They spike his drink, and then everything happens while he's off screen. He didn't do anything wrong, and he gets just left holding the bag and being scapegoated for something that had nothing to do with it.
And that not only that, he not only would he give him the redemption story, but also he's just like, yeah, I forgive you, man. This life is great.
Yeah.
Didn't see that one coming. And honestly, in the moment, Ethan kind of needed that one.
Yeah, I mean, he was this close to what's the next thing? I just drowned. Which, by the way, I appreciated when they were I enjoyed when they're like, he's gonna drown that way. Yes, probably he will.
Yeah.
He will probably drown, but he knows that, and that's fine. It's okay.
Yeah, it's all part of the plan.
It's the second time in a few movies that the plan is I might drown, and one of the women in my life is going to have to save me.
Yeah, me dying is one of the steps of the plan.
Feature not bug.
Wait, what?
Feature not bug.
I love there's I know we as we do we'll be jumping around, but on that same note, when he's on the submarine and they're talking to him about the advanced. Well, if you do that, you're not going to be able to use this advanced decompression chamber, and he's like, in all fairness, that was never part of our plan.
Yeah. Could you imagine the shock of was it Tribal Tillman he was talking to when he said that? It was just like, I'm sorry, you had a plan to dive to the bottom of the ocean coming from my submarine and not coming back to the submarine. Which he should have been so shocked because his plan to get onto the submarine was, I'm going to jump out of this osprey into frigid water and just hope someone's there.
Yeah.
Which was not much of a plan to begin with.
Hey, mister, what would you have done if we weren't there? Oh, I was counting on you.
Yeah. Also, I really loved how they framed that shot where, it's like the waves are rising up and above his face in the camera.
That was
and it's
cool.
The clouds and the wind and was there no, there wasn't a storm going on, but the lighting was weird, and all of a sudden it goes down and it comes up and it goes down, and there's just those masked faces behind him, and it's you knew it was coming, but it didn't disappoint.
No, it was so cool. It was it's just it's that scene in the bathroom where you're looking at the mirror. Yeah, they open the medicine cabinet, then they close the door, and there's somebody behind you. But it gets you every time.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it was that scene when you're in the bathroom and you're looking in the mirror, and then you cock your biceps and get back into the fight.
Yeah, they actually make a reload sound. I love that. I love. Let's start at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that. So we open up with the president pressuring him to come in. It's you need to come in. We need the key. And you of course we start to understand this now everybody wants the key and they all want control of the entity, and it's we could have seen this coming a mile away, right? And
he flat out. I mean, Henry Czerny flat out says it in the first movie. We want control. And Carrie Elways, both of them were on. Although it would be hard to say that the two of them were necessarily on the same side, so to speak. But they were nominally both going for the same thing.
Yeah, that's fair. I wish I had watched it again before, or had the chance to watch it again before. But
so I made a choice. I knew I was going to watch it either Saturday or Sunday of this weekend. So I was Friday night when I get home from work, I'm rewatching the last one. I was I definitely remember pretty much all the big picture stuff. There was one specific thing from the last movie that I forgot about, actually. And it was that at the end, Carrie Elways is on the train.
Right.
I totally forgot about that. I remembered that Henry Czerny is on the train and he's the one who is the buyer, which wasn't a shock to me. Even though you didn't know that, that wasn't a shock to me. What I wasn't expecting was, considering he plays dumb in the initial thing where he's oh, I don't know about all this stuff. You guys are explaining all this to me. Why wasn't I read into all of this? the fact that he actually was the originator of everything
Mm.
and was on the train, that I totally forgot about.
Yeah.
I remembered that Isai Morales and Palm Clemente, I remember they were on the train talking to someone, and then that's when he stabs her because he's like, "You're going to betray me," and then, which is
Mhm.
what ends up forcing her to betray him. You know,
Yep.
was one of those Voldemort creating his own worst enemy
Totally.
situations. But I forgot that was
We're masters of our own fate, Al.
yeah. Ethan Hunt is the final or what? Yeah, Ethan Hunt is the final reckoning. No,
Yes. I am reckoning.
I am I am reckoning. I forgot that was at the end of the meeting with Carrie Elways. That was like the only like real important plot point I had forgotten about. When he ended up being killed, it's like, okay, now I've remembered this, but it just in that moment I had totally forgotten about that part of it. And also
Okay,
interesting that we got him
starting
back.
to piece back together.
We got him back for one flashback.
Yeah.
Carrie Elways for one flashback in the middle of nowhere in the Pacific Ocean. But yeah, it was good to have that refresh. But I have to say, I didn't realize. I don't remember if she was in the trailer, and they did release a few trailers for this. But I didn't realize Angela Bassett was back. I was kind of surprised to see that the head of the CIA became the president. And even though he starts off by plugging his analog VHS tape into his analog VHS reader on a cathode ray television,
not just any CRT, a Daewoo, which is a brand name that I would not have ever remembered until, and I was like, this is the best.
I would remember it for one reason and one reason only. And yes, I remember they made TVs, but in Pineapple Express, do you know where I'm going with this?
Yes.
Danny McBride runs over Kevin Corrigan and says, "You just got killed by a Daewoo Lanu, motherfucker."
Oh man.
But even still, and we don't see her, we just hear her voice, and I'm like, I think that's Angela Bassett, which makes sense because she was in these movies already, but I wouldn't have expected her to be the president. But I still feel like somehow the entity managed to burn a VHS faking Angela Bassett's voice to gain his trust. That was what I was assuming at the beginning of that.
Totally. I am 100% with you. I was like, no, this thing is smart. Like it's like because they can't like they're playing the
oh god, it's learning.
Like, we know like everything you're gonna do like based on human patterns and stuff. Like, oh, you think that you're not you can't trust any of this digital stuff? Well, I should see how I can infiltrate analog stuff.
Yes.
And like clearly that's the next step, right?
I will have Isai Morales sitting at a tape deck thing burning a VHS to send to you.
Right. And then,
the only people you trust are people from your past. Here comes Angela Bassett's voice.
One they like to go over the top of the Mission Impossible movie. So like we got that early intro.
Somehow
we were chasing after
somehow much like James Cameron, they continued to raise the bar.
They raised that bar. They're chasing Gabriel. We end up with the entity box, whatever that thing is that allows you to put
the entity sarcophagus.
The entity sarcophagus that he's. I'm going in. It's gonna change you.
Which
sure.
I recognize that box from the last movie.
Yeah,
because that's how they smuggle Isai Morales onto the train. But in that moment, watching and including rewatching it on Friday, I did not take away from that he was breathing in the entity.
He's breathing it in, baby.
I assumed it was just something that was like a sealed box, and that was just like an internal oxygen supply, so that when they did like whatever scans, it was like, oh no, it's whatever, and it's fine. I assumed that box was purely for the smuggling of Isai Morales onto the train. Did not realize that they were going to then retrofit this / retcon this into the way that you embrace the entity is to go into this box.
I love the approach of like writing a script and they'd be like, and the audience is gonna never see it coming. That's because you just thought of it now.
There was a handful of things in this movie that even felt like at some point making the last movie, you guys had an idea, but it was too late to do it then. But you're like,
Yeah.
file this away. We're going to do this next time.
Yeah.
Because the sarcophagus is one of those things.
Yeah, with certain copy. We're gonna need I'm gonna need some really big nuclear bombs. I'm 2 of them minimum, and they're gonna look sick.
Also, fantastic CGI flags.
CGI
Flags.
where?
When they were showing the nuclear warheads, that they definitely recycled the footage for them a few times.
Yeah, you're being sarcastic, right?
I mean, yeah, kind of.
Okay, cool. Yeah, those are that. Yeah, that was that looked like Shutterstock.
Well, it reminded me of, because they did it like 3 times. It reminded me of, and I don't remember if you got to this point in Archer, because I know we watched like 2.5 seasons of that together. But there was an episode with Burt Reynolds in Archer where like Burt Reynolds plays Burt Reynolds, and the whole thing is that Burt Reynolds was his idol because he loved all his movies as a kid. But like Burt Reynolds is actually a badass in real life in the show, and the 2 of them are together. They're on the run, whatever. They're getting chased by some gangsters or something, and he's driving the car. Burt Reynolds driving the car, and Sterling's like, "Oh God, watch out! This and that, whatever." Like somehow he's the panicked one, even though he's usually the one who's like super cool. And he like runs this van off of like the road, and they're on like a bridge or like an overpassing over the water, and it like shoots off the edge and crashes. And they're like, "Whoa, whoa!" And then they run into a similar situation, and they use the exact same footage over again. And Archer breaks the 4th wall and says, Did we just use stock footage on that?" And Burt just starts chuckling.
Yes. Yeah. I do remember that. Oh my god. Oh, it's great.
And they did that a couple of times, and mainly when they were showing the warheads with the flags. I was like, I think we've already done this one.
I spent like the neck after Tom Cruise, or while he was in the sarcophagus, and then for the next 5 minutes, I spent that time trying to understand the concept of what was happening in there, like the physics of like the mask on his face, and then like it injecting into his mind, and like the physical response that he was and I was like, I think it's time to stop and just enjoy the movie.
It was 1 part Inception, 2 parts Wanda whispering into Tony Stark's ear, and 1 part Doctor Strange doing the time stone thing in Infinity War.
You right there, Doc?
Yeah. So it was an interesting mixture of those things. Maybe a little dash of the opening of Cloud Atlas when they like kind of show everything that's gonna happen, but like not exactly.
Yeah, the flash forwarding like into like the like playing out everything was like it was really cool. Actually, I feel like what it did was it took the intro of the Mission Impossible movies and made it like a mechanic within the movie. Because I don't have you ever noticed that like during the intro?
Yeah, they always show you scenes that are actually going to happen in the movie.
Yeah, I think that's such a cool thing to do, right? Like because it's like it really doesn't matter if you see this already because it's going to be fun getting there.
They occasionally flirt with something that feels like it could be a spoiler alert. It never actually is, but like something is a couple times where it's like that feels like you're telling me too much. Yeah. And of course, it's like much like a good trailer, it's usually taken out of context where it's like, once you see this whole scene, you're going to understand that this isn't actually a spoiler. But yes, you're right. It absolutely feels like an expansion of them.
I liked that. I felt like that was just like an understanding of what they were doing. Like, let's have some fun with it.
They know how to make movies.
And they really like the Mission Impossible formula has always been like, get the MacGuffin from the place MacGuffin and then fight bad guy. I feel like that's like just been the thing, and then revive Ethan,
or fight a guy, figure out where the MacGuffin is, and then go to that place.
Sure,
it's just the opposite order of operations from what you just said.
and a tape that describes that does an exposition on the MacGuffin first.
Choose to accept, and then choose once again to accept.
Right, but this movie was get the MacGuffin A, to join with MacGuffin B to then fight MacGuffin villain because it was just a computer. And it was really just like, let's just watch Tom Cruise do these weird things. And honestly, it worked for me.
You know what I appreciated about this rendition of AI, because it seemed like it was going to be all powerful and all knowing, but much like today's AI, ultimately it gets derailed by having a total batshit like lack of understanding of things, because the crux of it is that Gabriel, the Isai Morales character, is like, you're going to bring me that thing, which I don't know what the word they kept saying was. I don't know if that was a real word.
Podkova.
Yeah, what is that? That's not a real word.
MacGuffin B. I have no idea.
But it's like not MacGuffin so much as McRussian. Because it felt like they were saying a Russian word that's not a real word, though.
That's
you know how
the
MacGuffin
poison pill to it.
You know how like McGuffin. Hey, you McMuffin.
Yeah, McMuffin.
You know how MacGuffin is like not a real word? It felt like the Russian version of a MacGuffin, where it's like, this is not a real word, but it sounds like a word in Russian.
It's the Russian word for horseshoe.
That doesn't help.
No, that can't be right. Sorry, I just searched that. The top result with that definition is from Google Fonts. The internet's a weird place.
Yeah, that's a point of no return. The internet's kind of broken, but
it's so broken.
But
I'm gonna look. I'm gonna see. I'm gonna keep seeing if I can figure out what this is. Keep going.
Yeah, no. So anyway, ultimately his plan was, you're gonna bring the MacGuffin to me, because you have no other choice, because I've set the table in such a way that that's the only way this can go. But then his plan ends up to be that with a very short clock in which nuclear holocaust is about to happen, we're going to get into a biplane fight in the air.
Oh, yeah.
Which, don't get me wrong, visually stunning. Incredible.
Fantastic.
But his plan was to get the device from him. Now, so Ethan's plan was also to get the device from him out of thin air, right? But he tried physically infiltrating his plane to get it. Now, it's a bad plan, but a plan.
Yeah.
But Gabriel's plan involved him trying to get Ethan's plane to crash, which likely destroys the thing he's trying to acquire. And if it doesn't destroy the thing he's trying to acquire, it's going to happen in the middle of like forest in the mountains, where he's not going to be able to land his plane and acquire it in a timely fashion while nuclear holocaust is about to happen.
Yeah, he seems very.
It wasn't a plan.
He seems very okay with just like. Well, he's also nuts, right? Like he's.
Well, the thing is, he didn't really seem nuts in the first movie, but by the end of the second one, he is surely nuts.
Yeah, he's batshit. I have a. Is there something there that we didn't maybe get into, where like getting plugged into the entity too many times really just fries your brain?
It's possible. I mean, Paris.
Because it does seem like he becomes more unhinged.
The whole movie, I was wondering whether there was like, is this one of those things where my brain is trying to, like in the same way that like Porkova, my brain is trying to understand this McRussian, but I
don't speak McRussian.
Is that the sauce you asked for on a Big Mac in Russia? Can I get the McRussian?
It's just McRussian dressing anyway, right?
The McRussian dressing.
Oh my god, we've gone off the rails.
But so you know how like sometimes you hear or see a thing and your brain tries to interpret it as something, but the interpretation is incorrect. But your primal instinct is trying to this is like a thing that I'm used to seeing or hearing. And that was going on for me the whole time with the movie, because they never said Palm. I don't think they ever said Palm Clementi's name in the first movie.
Sure.
Do you know what her name was in this movie?
No, I just looked it up.
Yeah. So the whole movie, I was like, are they calling her Paris? And is that like a riff because she's French? Like, is it like a code name? But that's her credited name. And I had to look it up after. I was like, okay, so they were saying Paris this whole time. I wasn't going crazy. Like, this wasn't my brain short circuiting and trying to make sense of this because she's French. No, that's what they were actually calling her.
Yeah. They gave up on cast names halfway down the sheet. Paris. It was actually just a placeholder, and then they went with it.
It honestly wouldn't shock me. That surely would not have been the first time. You like when you're watching a movie or a show and like the character has the same first name as like the name of the person in real life, and it's like you did that because you didn't want to have to come up with a new name for that person. You wanted that person to respond to that name.
Yeah. So hang on. The planes.
Mm-hmm.
I love the setup of the two planes. Not one, but two. Like he literally told like he's like just if you want to come find me after this, I've got two planes set up.
It was Chekhov. It was Chekhov's contingency plan.
It was great. Chekhov's contingency plan. So good.
I mean, think about it. He goes, I not only have a plane for my escape, I have a second plane just in case something goes wrong with the first plane. And then he immediately escapes to the plane, and his nameless, faceless, wordless henchman gets into the second plane. Now, mind you, the two of them should have been in the first plane. There's two seats in that plane. And to be fair, in that moment, I was like, why the fuck aren't they both in the same plane? And then my second thought was, we know that Ethan's always going to find a way. You take the second plane so Ethan can't chase you down. Fair enough, henchman. You did the right thing, actually.
Yeah.
But Ethan still gets that plane anyway.
100%. Yeah, I think
it's the contingency plan.
My favorite part of the contingency plan is is nameless, faceless henchman getting punched in the face, and then just like very like gingerly released from the plane when it turns over. I was like, there's just something. It was just so satisfying to see that plane just start to do a barrel roll, and then this guy just
do a barrel roll.
I don't know why it was so funny to me.
I also love that he did, again, going back to do we use stock footage, he used the exact same infiltration plan on both planes. Now, Gabriel made him work for it, but like both times, I'm going to climb up under the wheel.
Yep.
I'm going to get up under the wing. I'm going to wait till he's not paying attention. I'm going to come punch him across the face. I'm going to unhook him from his seat. I'm going to flip the plane. He's going to fall out of the plane.
Yeah.
Does that whole thing. Gabriel's none the wiser. He infiltrates Gabriel's plane after he thinks that, he has nothing to worry about. Gabriel does all sorts of crazy flips and loops and this and that, and he's hanging from here, he's hanging from there. I did think it was very inventive that he physically was yanking on the aileron so that he could not navigate the plane any further.
That was cool.
That was a good heads-up choice in that moment. But ultimately, this all gets decided when he climbs up under the wing, punches him across the face, unsnaps his seatbelt, flips the plane so that he falls out of it. I did appreciate that the whole parachute joke. That's always a great thing in any of these high stakes airplane things. I've got a parachute, you don't, etc., so on.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this earlier today when I was kind of just like going over my mind some of the details of this movie. Was this the most brutal villain death in the series that we physically see?
I mean, it's got to be.
Because it's like, oh, okay, he's going to get like sloughed off the plane and like fall and die or whatever.
Yeah.
But with him smacking his face on the rudder and like cutting a huge crease
like
in his
head split. Yeah, that was pretty intense and gnarly. And just like also so comical.
I was trying to which
I enjoyed that so much because this guy was pissing me off so much. Like to see him like go out that way was just
well, I was trying to go back and go through it. So the first one, you have Jean Reno and John Voight both die in the explosion.
They hasta lasagna. They got some on you.
Wow. Okay. They both.
Sorry, that remains. That's still one of my favorite lines in cinema history.
What was that from?
It's from that movie. He says, "You mash the green and the red together. Hasta lasagna. Don't get any on you."
Okay. Yeah. No, that does sound right. Okay. So anyway, we got the two of them die in a exploding helicopter, which not a very grisly. I mean, sensational murder, but not like a physically brutal one to watch, right?
Mm-hmm.
Second one, they get into the fight on the beach, and he inverse karate chops him in the neck, I want to say. He can do a whole fight, and he does a whole to his neck. Isn't that how he kills
him? That kills him?
Isn't that what kills him, or no?
I don't remember.
Either way.
He doesn't get, like, thrown off a cliff or something?
I remember they jump the motorcycles at each other, and the motorcycles hit, and then they tackle each other in the air.
They hug. They air hug.
They turn into a whole fight. I know there's a whole thing where I think he has him defeated, but he's not actually defeated, and then he goes to pull the gun on him and Tandy Newton or something. No, sorry, she's off to the side still. He goes to pull a gun on him. Somehow, doesn't he definitely karate chops him in the neck, doesn't he?
I think so.
At some point. I don't remember if that was the final kill or whatever, but it was a relatively basic hand-to-hand, and maybe there was a gun or something. In the third one...
Mission Impossible 2, the villain does not die during the film. He escapes after... That doesn't sound right.
That doesn't sound right. Is this an AI overview? That's not right.
I think it is an AI thing. I'm trying to find it. Go on. So what happened in the third one? The third one I have seen is the furthest away from my memory.
The third one, what's messing with me is there's like 2 kills like in pretty quick succession, because he does the whole thing. They put the exploding capsule thing up his nose into his brain. He runs through the streets of Shanghai, I want to say. Something like that. He ends up finding his wife. What's his name? Activates the thing. Philip Seymour Hoffman activates the thing. But I think the two of them get into like a fist fight. And I want to say maybe he shoots him. And then he cuts her free, and she has to like defibrillate him and then revive him to like short circuit the thing. And then she kills Billy Crudup, who was the mole.
Okay.
So again, I think it was pretty conventional death. Ghost Protocol, I'm back to not 100% remembering how that movie goes. I still, there's something about that movie. I just can't.
Ambrose, sorry, I pulled up MI2. Ambrose gets shot.
He does get shot at the end. But I feel like he definitely karate chops him in the neck or something, doesn't he?
I feel like yeah. Probably at with an intense close up would be my guess.
Yeah.
Right.
And then the fourth one, he definitely gets into a fight in a server room with a guy at the end.
I don't even remember. Which one is the fourth? Oh, wait, we talked about this before.
Yes,
this is the one that is... Okay.
It's the one that for years I couldn't actually figure out what... ultimately, it's about them uploading something to a satellite. It doesn't really matter. They're in the final sequence ends with them they're in a server room, and he gets into a fist fight with a guy, and I'm sure he kills him or something. I don't know.
Okay.
But I don't think he was like the main... There's not really a main villain in it. Right?
I don't remember. That's the thing.
So you also now have like lost the
3, 4,
5 is Rogue Nation, and that's the one that he doesn't kill the main bad guy in that one. That's the one where he captures the guy at the end of it.
Okay.
Because that guy's in prison. In the 6th one, they have to break him out of. He's in the prison. They got to break him out of there. Henry Cavill ends up being a double agent who was working for him all along. And then I want to say he kills him in a helicopter chase.
Yeah,
or he kills Henry Cavill in a helicopter.
Henry Cavill. Yeah. So what happens to that guy?
I think the helicopter just gets exploded.
He gets exploded.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Dead Reckoning, we don't get a final. Yeah. So this is the one. I think
glow stick.
Right. This is the most brutal kill.
That's definitely the most brutal kill, followed by the least brutal kill of the entity trapping into the glow stick.
Technically not dead.
Not dead. I'm sure that won't come back to haunt us.
Probably not.
I also love how it's like the final reckoning. Just kidding. It's just the final. It's the final part of this 2-part arc.
It's the final reckoning, probably for now.
Probably. I feel like every time
that man is 2 years older than my dad, I think. Which is hilarious because like I just want to picture my dad doing the stunts,
doing the plane stunt.
Yeah, or any of them.
Yeah,
pick which one.
Yeah. Come on, that plane stunt though.
Oh, it's incredible. I mean,
that was just
parts of that are being filmed in a wind tunnel. Doesn't matter. It's fine. It's still incredible.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, because parts of it actually happen.
Yeah.
That's what matters. And then the thing I gotta go back to this for a second because I remember thinking about it in the moment and then it just like went out of my mind. He makes the comment about the parachute, Gabriel.
Yeah, he says, "I've got a parachute and you don't."
Then he falls off the plane and gets murdered by the plane.
Yes. What happens at 11 o'clock?
And then continues. Where does he get a parachute?
There's one in he ends up flipping the plane or whatever, and he grabs. There's another parachute inside of the thing. The whole thing is Gabriel thinks he's gonna fall off the plane and not get inside of like the cockpit.
Oh,
it's inside the cockpit.
Okay, I see. He just thought that he.
Yeah, because it's on Gabriel's back. He's already strapped into it, and
He just
Ethan's
thought,
not.
yeah, I see. He thought that Ethan was going. They were both gonna. He was gonna turn it. They were both gonna go down. That's what.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Little did he know, planes have tails.
Also, yeah. Actually, I guess the
Dude,
11 o'clock
when
wasn't
he
that one. It was the other one, right? Because he buzzes it. And as soon as he buzzed the rudder, I thought, they've got us.
yeah, Junior,
I'm sorry. They got us.
they got him. When he while it was super satisfying to see him hit the tail of that plane, it was equally satisfying to watch Ethan just basically rip his arm off.
Oh, yeah. When he did that, I was like, oh! I was literally in the theater. I was like, ah! Yes!
And the way that the actor screams, the way he screams, I was like, did this happen? Like, I know you guys are like doing these stunts. Like, did this happen?
Listen, I think it was it Rogue Nation? Rogue Nation or Fallout? One of those two. Ethan's running along rooftops, and he jumps from one rooftop to another. Tom Cruise broke his ankle on that stunt.
Yeah,
Gets
you
up,
see it.
hobbles away to continue the scene. Tom Cruise broke his ankle.
Yeah.
Ethan Hunt didn't break his ankle. Tom Cruise did.
Yep. Did you ever watch the close up of that?
No, but I know that he broke his ankle on that scene.
It's nasty. It's nasty because even in the movie you could see it. You could see it. Oh, your foot don't bend that way. And
as someone who's watched a lot of sports in life, I know what breaking of things looks like in real life. It's not pleasant. But yeah,
another thing
could you imagine that Tom Cruise accidentally broke, like fully broke, like open dislocation of the elbow of Alessandro during that scene? It's like, just leave it in. That reaction was totally authentic.
Yeah.
His fucking arm is backwards at a 90-degree angle.
Oh man, that would have been that's. Part of me thinks that it happened.
Part of me now wants to have happened.
It
was also, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off again, but it's pretty great for a character who spent like 2/3 of these two movies being the ultra calm and collected, and I'm better and smugger and more smarter and more
into the Joker
than you, and all of that. And then for him to go batshit crazy, and then for him to be like screaming and totally out of control. To be fair, I probably would have been screaming if someone did that to my arm as well. Yeah. I'm just saying, for someone who was like supposed to be this cool, suave, cold-blooded, like genius psychopath killer, to turn into that in that moment, I think that was like a pretty cool way to.
It's because he was partially mummified by being in that sarcophagus for too long.
That's fair.
It really affects your brain. Speaking of intent, we have a couple of intense scenes, right? The arm break, the hitting of the tail of the plane. When Ethan and Grace are strung up and there's gonna be an interrogation of sorts. I love how he's just like, look, it's gonna hurt, but it's just pain. It's like don't worry about it. Like just like
it's pain.
Just get over it.
What, like it's hard? Like it's difficult.
and then to do the sequence of him taking down the final two henchmen in the room off camera with just sound effects and her
screams
face
and all that.
Yeah, and her face like visibly like getting like more and more like shocked. Like she's like her eyes are getting like wider and wider, and she's like jolting. And I'm like, this is like that was so well done.
Yeah.
And he's like, you did great.
They were. Don't worry about
them. They were gonna kill you. Yeah. But I feel like that is like kind of like a hallmark of his, of like just like also being like, you did a great job. Like he like tells the people that he's with, like, you're doing awesome.
Well, his ability to communicate something devastating in a way that's supposed to be like totally nonchalant, which I'll go back to. I think the pinnacle of this was in Mission Impossible 3 when he tells her, there's this thing inside my brain. It's going to kill me. You need to electrocute me with this to stop it. But she's like, but Ethan, you'll die. He goes, you'll bring me back.
Yeah. Yeah. Just.
Because she's a doctor or a nurse,
casual.
whatever she was in that.
It's casual. That's what you guys do, right?
Yeah, 50,000 volts through me. Yes, you're absolutely killing me right now. You right now are going to kill me. You bring me back. It's fine.
You do the 50,000 volts in. That's dead. and then 50,000 volts more. That just balances out.
And then he immediately puts
And I'm back. Bang.
like the piece of wood in his mouth so he doesn't like bite off his own tongue.
Yeah.
And he just turns, wait. I love you. He puts it back.
Yeah.
Then she kills him. He bites down so hard he snaps through the wood.
Yep. Does she die?
No.
She gets married to somebody else at that humanitarian effort.
Wes Bentley. She marries
Okay.
Wes Bentley.
But wait, did a nuke go off in one of those movies?
In that one, maybe.
And she's not there?
Or no, it doesn't go off. He turns it off with like 0.007 seconds left or something like that.
Okay. But there were two. I thought one did go off.
There may have been 3.
Jesus. And none went off?
I want to say none. I want to say none go off, or one goes off far enough away.
Okay.
The whole thing was the 3 ends. He finally tells her everything like about him and all that, and Lawrence Fishburne smiles, and they walk off into the sunset, the two of them,
And you see right through it.
Yeah. And then the 4th one, the whole thing is that she's dead and he went off the reservation. Jeremy Renner blames himself because he was supposed to be protecting them and she got killed. And then at the end of the 4th one, you find out that was all staged to protect her so she could go into witness protection because he's always watching over her and you see her in the distance.
Mm-hmm.
And then
okay.
She's not in any way, shape, or form in Rogue Nation, which is 5. And then in 6, which is Fallout, she's back in it. The bad guy from Rogue Nation, whose name I'm forgetting, who has that very raspy voice.
Yeah.
The whole thing was meant for him to have this doomsday thing that was going to punish Ethan by killing her. She had remarried to this guy. They were doing some sort of humanitarian stuff.
Yeah.
In like Mongolia or something like that. And they had like nuclear devices literally built into the camp. And it was going to like kill like a ton of people like downstream of it or something like that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And they were able to disarm a couple of them. And then I want to say the 3rd one was like on the helicopter, but he's also got to get like, there was like a dead man switch or something like that.
Yeah.
And like that was why he's got to chase him in the helicopter and all that, was to get that thing, because that was like the final component that was going to like detonate them no matter what.
Sure.
Regardless of the timer or something like that. So forgetting some of the details, but that was the gist of it. I don't think any of them go off. She survives.
All right. That was I always had this issue with those that stretch of movies where what was it? What's that actress? It was, what's her name?
Oh, Michelle Monaghan.
Michelle Monaghan and Rebecca Ferguson are both in those movies, and for some reason I'm face blind to them.
They're both in Fallout. It's just freckles. They both have freckles. They don't look anything alike. They just both have freckles.
It's not. It's more than that, because it's hairstyle, and then there is love interest, and then from scene to scene I was losing track of where I was, and I was like, which one is it?
Okay, so they both have like auburn colored hair and freckles, but the shape of their faces are totally different.
I disagree.
Rebecca Ferguson has a very round face, and I feel like Michelle Monaghan doesn't have so much.
Rebecca Ferguson has a very round face.
Heart shape?
I don't know. Either way, it was a thing that I kept getting caught up on. I was like, wait a minute, which one are you? I know one of you is this person and one of you is that person, but I couldn't remember which one was which. It was a whole Dylan McDermott, Dermot Mulroney situation.
That's different. Those are names that sound familiar. Their faces don't sound at all the same.
Their faces sound the same to me. Luther.
Yes. I'm not terribly surprised they killed him off. I'm a little bit shocked that, considering they totally had him sit out the 3rd act of the last movie, that they would kill him off in the 1st act of this movie.
Yeah. Because
we had no indication that he was sick or anything like that in the last one. So for them to kick it right off with him being ill, sacrificing himself, I didn't love how they chose to like meet that out over the course of the story. I wish it maybe it had happened a little later on, or at least or like once they introduced him as being sick, I was like, okay, so he's gonna die. Like, you know what I mean? Like it robbed. It was still emotional in how it all went down, and like he's been in every movie with the exception of that he's only in the final scene cameo in Ghost Protocol, but he's been there since the beginning. So of course it was going to mean something emotionally to kill him off. Like
Sure.
it was sad for me to watch that happen, but
Yeah.
you robbed some of the weight of that by like
Sidelining.
sidelining him and then Chekhov's illness right to start the movie. It's like, okay, so he's
Yeah, yeah, totally.
versus like
That
you had a real will they won't they in the final act with Benji. Like I was like, oh my god, are they really gonna kill him off also? Like they're really clearing the decks at the end of this all here. Like there was a real actual emotional suspense of that. Like, is he gonna make it out of this or not? And it would have, and it felt like it would have worked equally well either way.
Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah, but I feel like even though it was a little bit clunky, I feel like they just gave him such a cool like final scene. Like he gets to be like full cool Luther, like that whole moment of
I'm
like
exactly where I'm supposed to be.
yeah, it was just it was so, and seeing the way they have like Ethan, like he's like shaking the gate, like it's like this just energy inside of him, just like trying to fight against it, even knowing like it's not gonna, like he goes through the 7 stages of grief within like 30 seconds in that scene, and it's just they crushed it. Like the scene, as contrived as the scenario is, the scene was wonderful. Just great performance. But yeah, the Simon Pegg's Benji being shot, the reveal of like it's I also love that they do like classic movie tropes of like got to show the hand with the blood, right? Like that's a good.
Well,
Good.
I knew too where like he's the only person running into the fire and he kind of
Yeah.
shudders and I'm like, he got shot, didn't he?
Yeah.
But then like
totally.
they play it out long enough where it's like, okay, no, maybe it's just like a dramatic moment and he shudder or whatever, and then yeah, like you said, that trope of like kind of like the jokey gallows humor of I thought he'd never leave,
Yeah. Yep, that was great. But I really enjoyed him him walking Grace through what to do and passing out, and Paris being like just like snapping him back too, so
Didn't
that he
she
can
literally
finish his
slap him at one
thoughts.
point? He's like, oh, I'm sorry.
That was awesome. That, and also I'm glad, like Ving Rhames dies, and then Benji's shot, and we're feeling not too great about it. Like he's gonna, but they throw us a bone by they let was it Donahue? Is that his name?
Who?
The or Don?
Oh, sorry,
Don?
the new member, the guy from Top Gun Maverick, the new member of the squad.
No, what the guy from the first
Oh,
movie?
Dunlow.
Dunlow. Him and his wife, like who, like him, his wife, and yes, and the other guy that I thought was just a prop to be killed, the way that he was like just in this movie.
He was in the last one.
Yeah, I know, but like the way that I feel like they just kept. I thought they were stringing him along to eventually kill him for some reason.
Which they certainly like teed that up where he like. So it's funny. So I went to see this with my dad and my brother who didn't see the last one, but I gave him like the 10-minute like verbal synopsis of the last movie, and so like we're watching it, and like they're like the two of them, like it's like the couples, like they've had this like wonderful life together. It's like this is like a noble sacrifice. So, like we'll do this together. He's like, I'm gonna help too, and it's like Dominic leads him. He's like, that doesn't seem like that is necessary for him to just like sacrifice himself for no good reason.
Yeah.
Like why is he doing that?
Yeah, where if this was a Family Guy episode, they'd be like discussing the plan. It's gonna be tight. We could really use an extra set of hands. I'm gonna help too. We'll figure it out.
Well, it would have been one thing if they said we need one more set of hands. They didn't say that. They're like, we got it under control. He's like, I'm gonna help too, and it's like, but why?
Yeah. We're at capacity. I do like is not the right word here. The entire time that Shea Wiggum has been in this, I'm like, dude, why? Like, I get it. Like, you work for the what? You're being such a blowhard, and I like that they retconned the reason for him having such a stick up his ass.
I will say, for as much as some of these things felt retconny, and I'm not going to say that there's no chance this was, there was, upon rewatching it, it's clear there is a personal element to it in the last one.
Sure.
Yeah, you have no idea what that personal element is, and they waited until
Yeah, it's just like
halfway
there's like a
through.
hatred towards Hunt.
Yeah, it felt more than just like a philosophical thing. It felt like there was more, but it was just like I'm waiting to see what the more is. It took halfway through the second movie to actually like show what
Yeah.
his like motivation was.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it was planned or if it just fit really well to like it was one of the ones that actually worked. But I kind of liked it. I thought it was a cool concept. And then the to end the movie, like the only way this like we like is gonna work is if we get one past the entity. Like if we do something so outlandish that it couldn't see it coming, like getting on the same side or like shaking hand, and then to end their scene that way. I was like,
Mhm.
that was kind of cool.
You and I,
Also,
we're gonna have a
ki-
reckoning,
yeah.
a dead
Oh,
reckoning,
he said it.
a final reckoning, if you will.
A final reckoning. And then just like Kittredge, like just go away, dude. You're always showing up at the worst possible times, causing the worst possible things to happen. You are such a pain in the ass. You are the game on hard mode. Like, stop it. Go away. Nobody asked you to be here.
I also have to say they did a pretty good job with the fake out because when they had the whole thing with the president and like her inner circle, and they were
Oh, with the gun.
yeah, they were pushing her for this like first strike thing, and it seemed like they were pretty unanimous in pushing her for the first strike. So when like the last minute, the one woman seemed like she was kind of wavering a little bit, but there's the guy with the glasses who ends up being like, "Oh, thank God we're not going through with this." It
Mhm.
never felt like there was really an opposition to that idea. It felt like they were all on board with the whole, we have to do this first strike thing. It's just really up to you to decide how we do it. It
Mhm.
didn't feel like there was anyone who was like, we shouldn't do this. It was more just like, we all have our thoughts on like how we should do it. Like, what of our own
Right.
cities should we sacrifice or whatever? Like, that felt like that's where the debate was. So when he went and asked the master sergeant for the gun, I assumed they were setting up a situation where he was going to. I assumed they're setting up where she was going to decline to do it. He was going to threaten to kill her.
Sure.
That ended up being a big fake out. I was like kind of
Yeah.
genuinely shocked how that worked out with the Secret Service agent turning on her.
Yeah. I kind of when they made a point of showing him get the gun, it was my assumption that they're trying to lead us into thinking that that's going to be the case, and he was not going to be that way. He was literally going to do the right thing, like, or the right thing. He was going to follow his orders. He's like a military man through and through, and he was going to protect her. Um, and that's what it turned out to be. But it was cool. Sad he had to go, but it was Nick.
Well,
Gotta
again,
love Nick Offerman.
considering this may be the final movie, it's probably not that big of a loss in that. But good for him for
Yeah,
getting that Mission Impossible money, and
yeah.
seeing more Nick Offerman's always going to be a good thing for us. So
Love me some Nick Offerman. Great, some great like cameo roles in this movie.
oh, that was one of the first things they said when we walked out of the theater was like, it's kind of incredible how like deep this cast is. Because you have your main crew, which is already pretty strong, and obviously there's a lot
Hmm.
of familiar faces. You have Ving Rhames again, so in all of them. Um, Simon Pegg's been in everyone since Mission Impossible 3. Um,
The Halo days.
Halo.
Is that when he plays Halo? Is it the third one? He's like playing Halo at his desk in one of them, isn't he?
Was it Halo? He definitely is playing a video game in either that one or the next one. I don't remember what the game was, but
Yeah.
he's definitely playing a video game at one point. I think was it that one or the next one? Because there's the fourth one in Ghost Protocol. There's a there's a whole thing where he's trying to act innocent because they're like watching him,
Mm.
or maybe it's Rogue Nation. One of those. So he's trying to act like innocent, and they keep putting him through polygraph tests over and over and over again. He keeps passing them, but they're still like surveying him, and like he's trying to like act totally normal, but like he's like basically doing no work or something like that.
Yeah.
So I forget which one he's actually playing the game in, but he's definitely playing a video game. I actually forgot that it was Halo though.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, yeah, we had some of the usual suspects, like I said, between those two. We had already known Henry Churdy's been back since the last one. All the new faces. I knew Trammell Tillman was in this. I knew that Nick Offerman was in this. I had no idea that Hannah Waddingham was in this. That one shocked me. That was kind of
That one I
cool.
knew from the last trailer. I think the latest one had her in it.
Okay, I don't remember seeing the trailer. I didn't remember that, or sorry, I either didn't remember or didn't realize they were bringing back Angela Bassett. That was cool.
Yeah.
What's his name? Was it Charles Parnell or something like that? The the one guy who's in the inner circle. He was in the last one as well, which like most of those group. That was pretty funny because they added Holt McCallany. He's part of the inner circle in this one. He wasn't in the last one, but he's basically, it's either him or Nick Offerman. One of them puts two and two together and says, "You gassed a meeting of the National Security Council, which most of you were there for," and they all kind of like look down in like
Yeah.
dismay.
And left wearing his face.
Yeah, he came in wearing his personal assistant's face, and he left wearing your face.
You gotta love the face swap moments in all the Mission Impossible movies. I loved the sequence in this one where they're breaking Paris out from Hague, and like to see that Simon Pegg is also there. That was cool. The double face pull was
And her
really
like,
good.
what the fuck moment of like, what is
Yeah.
happening?
Yeah.
Who are you?
I just like Simon Pegg's like appeal to the other like we're so like can we just not like I don't even really want to explain this. Like can we just be cool, right? No
Yeah.
one's hurting anybody. We're trying to save the world. Can we just be on the same side? It's like appeal to reason. It's so good.
I also had a moment too where I was sitting there, I was like, oh shit, I didn't realize that, realize whatever, but like it was like more the moment of recognition on the submarine crew. The one girl was the one from Mandalorian.
Yep.
It's like, oh hey, I remember her.
Yeah.
Also the redheaded guy was from The Witcher. It's like I remembered him for
Oh,
a
okay.
second when he reveals himself. I thought it was Christopher Hifju from
Mhm.
Game of Thrones, and I was
Yeah.
like, no, it's
That's
not him.
exactly who I thought it
I was
was.
like, but I know that guy's face. I looked him up afterwards. He was one of the Witchers in the second season.
Okay. That makes sense.
Um,
That sequence though, like the whole everything that happened underwater in that movie was awesome.
oh yeah,
It's
the
from
whole
like,
submarine sequence was incredible.
oh my god, what in like knowing full well that there was a lot left to the movie to be able to like to capture that like intensity, edge of your seat, like with your main character who's not gonna die right now
Well, I mean,
because
he is
there's
going to
so
die, but he'll be fine.
not right now,
No, he's
later.
going to die, but he'll be fine.
Oh right, yeah, but still later, not here, not in the submarine.
No, like right
That's not how
outside
the
of
plan
the
goes.
submarine.
Yeah. So like
But he is going to die.
that was pretty bonkers. And then like the terrifying nature of like being underwater and like it being half submerged and it rolling and about to go deeper and then and then you add like layers of claustrophobia on like with the torpedo tube. I was like, this is
500-pound torpedoes like falling on and around
just
him.
falling apart. And yeah, like I guess and he's smart enough to know that there's a key that he needs to use to open the tube. And then like when I was like, oh good, he's getting out. And then when the backpack gets stuck, I was like, come on. But he got his horseshoe.
I mean, he had a horseshoe up his ass. I mean,
that was a cool scene.
yeah.
I enjoy it. I just oh, what about the like you want like big blockbuster movie moment, right? When he's leaving the submarine and the door and it opens to the other submarine, terrifying. It looks like it's like a giant shark being right behind him, and
Oh
he's
yeah.
like bouncing off the sides of it. I was like, this is so ridiculous and so what I want right now.
Well, the funny thing was they were watching it on the sonar, and it's like we have something, whatever. It's like, well, I guess we mission accomplished. We found the submarine, right? The one that we
Yep.
were supposed to be looking for. It's right on our tail, and then they open the thing, and like, not only is it right on its tail, it's basically up its ass.
Yeah. I don't know what I expected. They literally told me it was going to be right there.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Just such a fun time. I thought, oh, the whole Dunlow shack thing, where like the cleanup crew coming to take all the stuff like from the seismic event that was recorded. The fact that he memorized the whole way that played out, I was like, this is this is so cool.
Memorized the coordinates and was able to find a way to make them 180 degrees off
yeah,
on the fly in a way that like was that
genius.
specific as like a quote unquote code that he was able
Dude
to
is
sort out.
he is the boss like that. And then also his wife with the dog sled, and then trying to explain to Grace like polar bears, shoot them. I'm taking a nap.
I was
Like,
really
I
confused
love
because
that.
she's obviously doesn't speak English. And we lose the subtitles at that point because the two of them don't speak the same language, which actually was a cool way to do that, right?
Yep.
So it's a very one-sided conversation as far as we're concerned. And she goes through the whole thing, and I thought she was leaving her to go on her own. Which I was like, okay, so maybe she's going to go back and look for her husband. Like, I get that. Like, she was only going to go so far in support of this mission, and that's fine, whatever. And then she sits down on the sled, and I was like, well, what the fuck? Why can't you drive? I didn't realize at that point, like, the whole point was like, we're both going to be fucking exhausted. We have like days
Yeah.
ahead of us. Like you've got to go, and then I'll go. We're going to go back. I was like, okay, that makes a little bit more sense now. I did love the whole thing.
This way.
Oh, polar bear, fantastic. Oh,
Yeah.
you want me to shoot it? Okay.
God, where are you going? Oh man, good times. Any other we've run this one out. Any other closing thoughts?
Do you want another Mission Impossible?
I do, just because I have fun with them. I largely don't. I'm not precious about like the story. If I was, it would be problematic. I'm like, it's just fun. I don't think I want any sort of reboot though. So
it does feel like this is his thing, and it shouldn't be anyone else.
That feels right to me. If he has it in him and he wants to do it and he does it, I will be there to see it.
Which
but
is the gist of what I said in my synopsis was like, I feel like you don't change. Like, they pitched it as we're doing a 2-part movie. It's called Dead Reckoning Part 1 and Part 2. And then at some point they killed the Part 1 and then renamed this one the Final Reckoning. When you put final in the movie title, it tends to mean something.
Sure.
And the way this ended, and I mean, every other one that ended outside of the last one, you could argue, would have worked as a sign-off. All of them could have been the last.
Yeah.
And this one is no different in that regard, but I would wonder how they would continue to raise the stakes, but they've always found a way to continue to raise the stakes. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't like put it past them. But considering his age, considering the tea leaves kind of pointing towards, we've renamed this the Final Reckoning. The way it ends, I don't know, maybe the ending actually is more in service of there potentially being more, because I almost expected, they all reconvene together. I almost kind of expected them all to walk off together to have a drink or something. Like, this is kind of our toast to everything. They don't. It ends with all of them going their separate ways.
Which was such a ridiculous scene.
Why would they all meet up just to go separate ways?
Joining in this square to just nod at each other and then disperse.
I wondered
the
same thing. I was like, hang on a second. If you guys all convened for all of this, and part of it was for her to give him the thing, but like, wouldn't you guys, I don't know, spend a minute together, whether it be going for the next mission or, like I said, toasting the end of our successful careers or whatever? It was a little bit weird for them to spend 12 seconds together just to then go their own separate ways again.
But so in that scene, it was Ethan, Benji, Grace, and Paris
and Degas. It was all of them.
Oh, okay, he was there. Yeah, okay. But okay, so what
the big thing was the reveal that Benji was alive, because we didn't know for a fact until
that was like their way of doing that. The thing is though, like that scene, I feel like that's like, if you want it to be the final one, to have like that, like to look at each other moment, like and kind of that the Dark Knight Rises.
I was just about to say the only way we would have had more closure is if they were all sipping Fernie Branca.
But if you would be like, they all kind of nodded at each other, right? And like what I was thinking, what bothered me, I was like, no, hang on, guys. I was like, if we're putting a cap on the series, like Benji is the only one out of this group that's been here long enough to warrant the nod, because
No,
the
the
rest of
whole
you came
point
in the
is
last
whenever
movie.
you were given the choice, you chose to accept, and you were here for it, and you did your part.
Yeah. But so what should have happened? Ethan nods at Grace, Grace nods at Benji, Benji nods at Paris, Paris nods
And this now
at
turns
Michael Caine.
Well, I was just saying, no, this now turns into the scene from the Family Guy Return to the
Yep.
Jedi, where they're
Yep.
all nodding above
I
the
love that one
Sarlacc.
so much. They just keep going. Oh, it's so perfect. What a good time.
I wouldn't say anything to you. You wouldn't say anything to me. Which,
Yeah.
just an acknowledgement that.
Man. Well, hopefully the movies are in fact back, and we have many
Hopefully
more
we are in
episodes
fact back.
of enjoyable episodes to come. But that's all for this week's episode of Flix in a Six. We hope you enjoyed it. As always, if you have a movie for us to review or nuggets for us to discuss, you can send them to flixinasix@thespinchoon.com. Tune in next time for more movie and beer goodness. Until then, I'm Anthony Costanzo.
I'm Al Biolsi.
Thanks for coming.